Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Console War Spring Finals. My name is Latigris, here with the lovely Vux. It's always great when you're in time, or in town, rather. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's always good to be here, folks. It's always good to be back in Atlanta, Georgia, and along with everybody else. You guys have been on a bit of a trip around the world recently, and it feels like I'm just catching up, but I'm ready for some console action to start us off.
Yeah, a few time zones over. Now we're back for the console, boys. I'm excited for it. And as far as things that we have coming up in the future, there's always HRX to look forward to, which is happening in November. And you can get those tickets right now. So go to hirezexpo.com to do just that, where you can see all of the teams that qualify in action.
And I'm very excited for that. You know, HRX is the biggest event of the year in our esports calendar, and it's my favorite event of all time. It's what got me into esports specifically, so it holds a special place in my heart. And of course, being at DreamHack Atlanta this year as well, we have a chance to introduce so many more new people to our games and maybe grab some new fans as well.
So remember, we have 4 teams here from the console series, and taking a look at the bracket ahead, it's going to be Vex Gaming versus Fable, as well as Flashpoint Esports versus Onslaught. And as a reminder, this is exclusive to Mixer. Console is always on this platform, and a great platform it is with all that interactivity and everything. But as far as these 2 matches, which one are you looking forward to most?
See, it's really difficult because normally, and based off previous console wars, Xbox EU versus Xbox NA tends to be kind of a sweep. You go NA wins, and NA just wins everything. And PlayStation 4 tends to be the more tricky region there, or platform console, I should say. But this time around, with Vex having their full roster, which they haven't had at the previous 2 LAN events, I don't know, I feel like they could put up a fight here. Had a little bit of stories about some scrims going on, maybe they got some few tricks up their sleeve, so I'm excited to see how the Xbox side of things breaks down specifically.
You're always going to be pretty happy when you have your entire roster here at the LAN, so you have that consistency going from all the different phases and all the way through. So as far as comparing console to PC, we're coming off of that track a little bit. What are some specifics of this scene that you look forward to?
So what I really look forward to in terms of console is positioning, right? There's less of a mechanical ability to make very quick movements on console. You can't make these quick rotations. If you're caught out from behind, you're likely going to be flanked and die very quickly. So it's all about positioning. It's about how you position around the map. It's about how you use terrain, how you use cover, and how you ensure that you never leave yourself open and can maybe surprise your enemies as well. So that's a very, very fundamental part, I think, of this console scene.
Yeah, and with Vex in particular, then we actually have had an interview with a couple of the players, so let's take a listen.
Well, let's just talk a little bit before we get to any questions, guys. You guys have been, I know you've been around to a couple console wars now. Has anyone on your team been to all 3?
Currently just me, Welsh, and World Edit, I think.
Beautiful stuff, guys. I mean, you've been pretty dominant so far, but you've got Fable up first, and I think they're pretty much the favorites to win this tournament. But you guys do have your full roster, and that's not something that's exactly standard here. So you guys, are you feeling confident that you do have your full roster? You guys are ready to go?
Yeah, it's always been a chip on our shoulder to not have full roster, like every single time we've come to a LAN. So having it for the first time, I think, it's a big confidence boost going in, especially when you're against, like, the best console team. Like, no one really thinks differently.
So not exactly the performances you guys wanted at HRX, but how have you been feeling? How have you been adjusting? How's the team kind of been doing overall, given the big game changes since HRX tournament?
Well, since HRX, we've just been grinding non-stop. Before the qualifiers for this LAN, we exclusively scrimmed heating up, which is now known as Fable, like non-stop. So, we kind of know how they play, and we can adapt to that. We've adapted to the triple DPS meta, as well as also keeping onto our double tank as well. So we'll be able to whip out some interesting drafts, hopefully.
And I think this is interesting. We saw Fnatic actually kind of fall to their own ability to feel they could play anything. They were the triple DPS, but then we saw against Team Envy in the finals in Vegas, they tried to double tank a little bit, didn't work. If you guys were going to have a preference on what you'd like to play, where you feel most comfortable on your team, would it be a double tank? Would it be a triple DPS?
I mean, I think it all comes down to really the map and our knowledge of what they're drafting and what's going to be perfect for the map, because there's always going to be certain maps where we think that triple DPS is going to be more ideal to run. So it's really just going to be in our ability to outdraft them, and just to be able to know ahead of time do we want to run the triple DPS here, and like, what flexes are we just going to hope to pull out to really make it work?
And since this is 3 games here, you got to win or you go home basically, and you guys have come a long way to be here across the pond from Europe. What edge do you think you're bringing over Fable this game 1? Because that's almost going to be what's going to decide whether you move forward or not.
Well, from what we've heard, Skeppy won't actually be playing. He's like we saw like had a little gander into their room, and they're using their sub because Skeppy's injured his hand. So we've got full roster. They haven't. It's an instant.
That's an advantage.
Instant win.
If I've ever heard one.
What would you guys say? Because you've been to basically all 3 console wars now at this point. What would you say is the reason that we see this North American dominance?
I mean, it's just kind of this team play aspect that North America has compared to Europe. Like, I've always personally been a believer that Europe has had kind of a better understanding of the meta, a better kind of draft plan overall. But what North America has always had over Europe is just team play. Like, the synergy that a team like Fable has is really hard to play into. Like, you make one mess up and just they're all over you, you're dead. So really the only way that we're going to be taking games off, and even potentially the series, is us just being able to play to our full potential and just never letting them do that and let that team play beat us.
Okay, that's all I've got.
Do you guys believe in trash talk?
I personally don't, but a few members on the team do. They like to, it was at Hi-Rez, I think, World Edit was screaming across the stage constantly to Sir James Parker, calling him trash, saying he's a one trick and everything like that.
So, Narc, I want you to do your best World Edit impression. What would he say right now if he had the ability to trash talk going into this segment?
Make it family friendly. Make it broadcastable.
Yeah, without any cursing. It was just I don't know.
I mean, it requires a lot of standing up and losing your voice to really kind of get it across.
Like, it was yesterday in the scrims we played against Onslaught. He was saying, like, if we play Buck, he's just going to stand up, show through the wall, and just go like that, just pop a bulk up and just scream you're trash. So
you're trash. Well, awesome. We look forward to it, man. Thank you guys for the interview, and good luck heading into today's match.
Yeah, thanks.
Great words from Lexi and Narc. You have to say every letter.
Every single letter in there. And it's interesting to see, Narc obviously remaining within the scene. Narc's been in console Paladins really from its inception, actually, and sort of transitioned over from previous console games. Has been predominantly a player who plays sort of like projectile DPS for a very long time. And I'm excited to see what happens through, When they first came into the console scene, they were definitely a sort of a big talker, but we rapidly saw that kind of PC-ish style play style of like, hey, we'll pick the Cassie, we'll pick the Charlotte, and sort of fall off in favor of the hit scans. But with more recent changes to aim specifically as well in console and how well they've been practicing different compositions, I'm excited to see if that kind of actually starts to take a bit of a precedent.
I'm also feel respect for Narc for opting not to do the impression and keep it PG, because apparently a lot of curse words used by World Edit. But I also want to give a highlight to Lexi, because his support play has been really consistent, and Vex as a team only dropping one phase since HRX. So how do you believe that consistency of the support has enabled them to do just that?
I think the consistency of the support play from Vex has been really, really critical to them, because they've developed a diverse support pool, and a diverse pick pool overall, actually. And having spent some time talking with Lexi before the LAN began, they say that's one of their strengths right now. They're one of the only teams really to go and really embrace the Maldamba meta, which they can bring to console. Most console players opt for Genis or opt for Ceres, opt for sort of the easy throughput healing. But if you can get that sort of maybe higher skill cap on console support to come through and maybe get some good outplay potential there, you got a lot that you can bring to the table. And likewise, the rest of the champion pool from this team, they're not limited. They play a lot of different things, which you might not expect.
Yeah, for so long we weren't seeing the Maldamba, and a lot of us assumed that it was something with the way that you play on console that had to do with it, but then actually taking a movement towards that pick has been really impactful. And for a team like Fable, who is the favorite coming into the scene, maybe they'll employ some of those same tactics.
They might have to, and I think that'd be definitely something that they want to push towards. But the thing is, with a team that's got the caliber of Fable, right, they're going to be prepared for whatever you can throw at them. And looking at stuff like the qualifying phase stats from phase 5, actually, it's interesting to see that whilst Vex has talked a bit big about saying, hey, we'll play the Maldamba, we'll do this and that, it was North America actually that pulled out Maldamba and had a 100% win rate during that phase with him. So, I expect this team to be very well versed in different compositions like that, different support play, and maybe a few tricks up their sleeves which you wouldn't expect.
Well, I know everyone wants to hear from the back-to-back console war champions, so let's go ahead and kick it to the interview.
Hey guys, happy to have you here. First thing I want to know from you two is just how was your travel coming to the LAN?
For me, it was fine. Just short 2-hour ride, nothing major.
Yeah, same here. Came from Florida, Sunshine State, and now we're here.
Wait, where in Florida?
St. Augustine.
Woo! I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
So you're coming into this land pretty much as everyone's favorite. Is that like affecting you? Like, are you not scrimming as much? Or are you coming into this kind of still trying to keep up with the rest of the herd?
We haven't scrimmed in a week. I haven't been playing in a week. But we're confident in each other, our drafts, and I think seeing the other teams, we match up pretty well against them, so we're prepared.
So, Skip, I know you've been in all 3 console wars. Soldier Bot, have you been?
All right, everyone, we're having a little bit of an issue, so cutting that short for the moment, but liking what I'm hearing from them so far.
It's confidence they're bringing into it as well. You heard the fact that, like, hey, we haven't played for a week, we haven't scrimmed for a week. Didn't look too uneasy after saying something like that as well, so...
All right. Well, actually, we seem to be okay now, so we can get everything rolling. But we're going to go right into the maps and the match itself, because I know that's what everyone is waiting for between Vex and Fable, and having that momentum from the past lands for Fable. And everyone's like, oh man, Skeppy's got the stitches and everything, but he's still going to play and all of that. And then now all of a sudden today, it's a whole different beast. But these are your bans. And we're going to Serpent Beach first.
So with Ice Mines and Splitstone Quarry taken off the table, you see both these teams they don't want to go in for these more niche maps. I think especially with Vex removing Ice Mines, that is quite interesting, right? That's normally the go-to map for, hey, we're down behind, we want to force a 3-3 game and maybe win off a good composition with ults. Taking Splitstone off the table as well, I have heard that maybe Europe is starting to play some more in the way of snipers, so that could be a good look towards just taking that off the table originally. And Serpent Beach, it's kind of one of the default maps for console. It's the most played. I don't think actually during Phase 5 it was ever banned, and these players love the diversity that this map brings.
Yeah, console has been very consistent with the maps that they actually choose to go to within their sets, and Ice Mines kind of taking a little bit of a step back. Some have reserved it as that option if they need to make a run back, but at the same time, with all teams becoming very accustomed to playing on it, they've decided to opt out. First ban, of course, Ruckus, a very popular pick in general, but on this map in particular, very good use of the high ground.
Now the Bomb King being banned out as well is more of a target ban at Vexed right here, because again, Bomb King is a little bit more technically difficult to use if you can't flick those sticks around quite as quickly, and Vexed really enjoy employing these projectiles a lot. Now taking Xin off the table as well, they want to remove that mobile flanker who's very safe to play, combos exceptionally well with Genos, but Buck as well being banned out. I'm surprised not to see a single Terminus ban at all throughout either of these teams.
And actually it was interesting to hear in the remainder of the interview with Fable earlier how they really see this kind of inflow of the flanks. So banning 2 of them away, knowing how strong different players can be on those picks, but this does leave Makoa open, meaning he's going to be first up.
Makoa is kind of a default at this point as well. You'd expect them to be brought into the realm if they are ever left open. This does leave some champions such as maybe your Cassie open if you want to try and grab some anti-heal. If you're really looking for that, you could look towards the Lian, but I expect one of these teams, as we do see Inara locked in for Fable here, to be really going for that kind of strong core composition first. There's a lot of flexibility you can bring on this map. You can pick up maybe a Maeve or an Eevee or something that's a little bit different here, but that's really dependent on what you're trying to counter in terms of your enemy's compositions. So neither team really showing their hand so far.
A very high play rate for Inara as well, and part of that is because of the consistency of the bans taken off the table. But Drogos, with the changes that have come to him within recent times, a lot of the Blaster players are pretty excited about him.
Oh, they definitely should be as well. That increased projectile speed of Drogo's rockets turns them into a veritable, I can't really say laser because that's not what you're doing, but you're blasting people apart. Pick up a Fusillade on that, land some direct shots, and you're going to be tearing this Inara to pieces. She'll be rubble before the game ends, but in order to counter that, Fable, they draft the Fernando, which I really like. The Immortal into Dragon Punch is critical here, but also hovering the Maeve, which is locked in right here as well. That's an exciting
baby.
pickup.
Our pink-haired lady, I like it.
This is actually a bit of a target pick away from Vex right now as well. Vex have a Mave in their pocket. They're not going for that at all. They don't have the ability to now, so they're going to try and go for what looks like an Androxus hover currently to maybe provide some counterplay, but a Lian is hovered right now. They already have the Genos. If Fable goes ahead and drafts something like a Ceres here for their support pick, they might find themselves very rapidly counted out by maybe a Death and Taxes choice, so a lot on the table here.
And Leon has increased in popularity, not just because we're kid, but because he can bring something like Death and Taxes to the table, and it makes your economy actually in-game a much more valuable.
A lot of people just don't know how to respond as well to that very early game pressure of, hey, I have 90% anti-heal right out of the gate. And again, it's really good drafting from Vex. They make sure they secure that Genos. They make sure that they have that mobile healing for the Drogos, for the Lian, for their DPS right now, if that is indeed locked in. So if Fable are forced into, well, they've got the Ceres, potentially. They could go with the Ying. I really don't think that's likely versus the Drogos because you can pretty much one-shot illusions unless you're investing everything into health with Fusillade here.
Oh.
It's actually a Barrack which is hovered over right now, so maybe some changes coming through. Looks like we might be seeing a stay-at-home dad.
So why do you think so many people have been opting for Barrack more often lately?
Barrack's a tricky one, right? It's difficult to say because Barrack has never been in a situation where like he's exceptionally bad. He's always been either okay or phenomenal, and right now I think picking the Barrack into the Inara Fernando, you're going to have a lot of these point fights coming through. Maybe like a hair trigger as your talent might be very useful for just applying a lot of consistent pressure to these champions, making sure that there's always a cauterize on the Inara as well, because Barrack, if they're not going into Tinkering his hit scan, very good at applying that anti-heal debuff, and therefore you can make sure that Nara's not being topped up as much as they otherwise would be. But it looks like an Eevee hover towards the end as well, which is curious. Vex, they do have an Eevee in their back pocket as well. They've remarked that, you know, they play the Mave, they play the Eevee, they play these picks which aren't normally as meta as you would see in console, and this does put a lot of pressure on what Fable are going to pick in terms of their support, because Ceres would be very vulnerable if she's Ice Stormed and trying to escape with Shadow Travel. Obviously she can't. Maybe there's just a pip left on the table then.
Yeah, I'm curious to see exactly what healer Fable end up going for against the composition that Vex seems to be bringing to the table. It is nice when you can have that Barrack, especially with the hair trigger Barrack that can actually give a lot of other champions a run for their money on the damage charts, but then that secondary front line can still serve that purpose as well in terms of objective focus.
Right, exactly. I love the split, as you're saying, with the objective focus for Vex right now, because they have the Barrack that potentially they could go ahead and put them on, but actually last second changeover, it is a solo front line that we've got so far. Last second change, there we go. Terminus is locked in as well, so the Lian and the Terminus are what are stuck with, not the Barrack, not the Eevee in the end, so that Vex are really forcing Fable's hand with their support play so far. They're still going to go with the Ceres. I would expect that to be Void Abides here as well. Look for the healing throughput. They got a lot of early game pressure, and Fernando's shield combined with Inara's Impasse can actually block off a lot of line of sight on a map like Serpent Beach, so they can avoid a lot of cauterize. I am a little bit nervous about how that Maeve is going to survive if she gets caught out by maybe a lift from Genos.
Well, this is going to be your composition, so let's go ahead and kick it over to the casters for game one.
Hey guys, Mixer fam, how you doing today? It's Rain Day and Pretty here, going to be taking you through the action on this beautiful console Saturday. And of course, man, exclusively on Mixer. And we got to ask our Mixer fans, who do they think is going to win?
Who do you think is going to win?
I mean, obviously the North American favorites, Fable. North America's kind of been on a run lately since Vegas, Envy with that huge upset. But the Europeans seem determined. They seem really ready to take on the challenge.
Absolutely. On paper, though, I got to say I like what Vex is cooking with right now. They got the Death and Taxes Leon. I think it's going to be great to excuse me, shut down this Ceres healing as well as deal with the Maeve. The Maeve, a very execution-based pick, and Leon not so much, especially when you're looking at that 1v1 matchup. There's so much auto-aim.
You're so right. And also, you know, 2 shots from Grace and from Valor, and then all of a sudden you have your Enlightenment ready to go with Maeve's health pool. But if Soldier Bot's running that Street Justice build and running those things like Persistence 5 and Sixth Sense 5, that's going to make him so much tankier, as you can see here, really opting into this style that Random Noob on Envy made very popular over the last weekend. Starting off with a few daggers, though.
Look at Wonderful go!
And he's already in the mix, and he gets hooked back down, though. This is looking good.
but too many people are low to tell what's going to unfold. Trinsic takes the first blood, taking down Shrek.
No, Wonderful can't be allowed to live here. He does. He gets out with a sliver of HP. Everyone survives from Fable there. A huge gamble. They go in extremely hard, and, you know, they talked about in their interview, like, how, you know, console teams mostly just spearhead. We like to just hold our angles. What was that, Fable? They completely lied to us in that interview. They spearheaded so hard there, and it just barely panned out.
And sometimes early game, you need to set a tone. You're either going to have the tone set for you, or you're going to set it. And I love how they take that 57% on the objective now. Fusillade Drogo's running through, which what we can assume is a Luminary Genos, making those hit for 1275 and exploding those shields. Salvo raining down. Soldier Bot gets taken down as well. That's Trank finding the kill, but Narc falls yet again to Soldier Bot before that can happen. And 78% for Fable, still in control of the objective.
Just barely. They need to make a move soon. Vex Gaming, Terminus just now respawning. Mikoa, not the most ideal frontliner, especially with only 49% on his ultimate.
And he knows exactly where Welshmania is. Gets a shot, but can't quite find the kill. Lexi Zen is on the upper catwalk, but Skeppy is on the upper catwalk as well. Void Grip's going to stall at 99%. Overtime ticking away.
I mean, I think it's going to work out for Fable here, but Skeppy missing a lot of shots there, man. You can't be missing those on Championship Sunday, at least. We know he's got the stitches. We know he says he's unaffected largely by them, but you have to wonder.
I mean, he got, you know, he was in that street fight with the coffee pot that he said, and that's why his hand is hurting. And unfortunately, that is going to make an impact, maybe even in game 1, too, because it takes a second to get warmed up. He wasn't playing with it in the scrims. We went in the room and saw he took a breath just to make sure he was fresh and ready for this. Cirrus throws out the convergence, but almost dies herself thanks to World Edit's Drogos here, which has definitely become a topic of conversation now in OB70.
Trinsic, he's going to dive pretty deep. So, honestly, is Maeve, but going down to the fire spit here. It's a 2 for 3. Fable going to lose pretty handily in that one. Skeppy got picked so early on in that fight. It wasn't exactly a fight that I expected them to be able to win. Wonderful. You can see he's pop-tarted himself up onto the high ground here with Anar, just getting some pokes and pop shots. But I don't think he's going to be able to make much progress with Terminus here.
And however, though, things starting to shift. The wall actually locks in Terminus. Narc is in trouble. He uses the Shatterfall, gets away. He's running out of that power siphon, and he's going to go down. Wonderful. Makes it out alive yet again with just an inches away from utter demise, yet still Fable keep pushing through.
Look at this control from Wonderful. He just pushes through 1v3. I don't know how he does it, but this is why he's regarded as one of the best players in the business. Vex Gaming, you guys gave it to them by a large margin. The Mixer poll here, we'll have to see. Very, very edgy hot take there, Mixer chat.
Absolutely, I love it. You guys are just as aggressive as Fable are in terms of your predictions, and so far not working out as Fable look to continue to possibly 2-0. We mentioned Skeppy missing a couple shots, Nick, and that was one of the things we talked to Prosper Logic about, where Cassie, great pick on PC, but on console, you're gonna miss a few of those shots. Will that come back to haunt him? So far, not much. As World Edit falls.
It seems like they have such a clear, concise plan. Fable are target prioritizing all the same thing. They're doing a really good job at making sure they're able to take these guys down quick. Narc, he's got the ultimate though. Terminus is going to buy a ton of time on this objective.
You've got to burst him down before the overtime hits, because at that point, he's going to buy the space. And it comes to be Trinsic now, excuse me, Trank, who is back. Skeppy falling away, 6 streak for him. Missing shots, but that's okay. He's hitting the ones that matter. Fable 1-0. Are they going to hold here? Are they going to push? Soldier Bot with a beautiful Street Justice delete. Takes down Trank, and they push it 2-0.
And I think the thing about Soldier Bot right now is that he is really playing his loadout extremely well. He recognizes that, yes, I'm below 40% HP. Yes, I'm a very squishy character, but I have so much to keep me safe under that threshold. He's died a decent amount, but he's dove really, really concisely. He's got his target basically every single time, and then it just seems like an easy fight there for Fable beyond.
And I think that build you were talking about here as well, persistence and 6th sense. One of the interesting things is Maeve has those 2 pounces, and I've been looking at this a little bit myself. You know, you almost use that first pounce to kind of mid-fight, right? Because then you're fighting with that 30% damage reduction, and once you get low, it starts to tick into about 48% with diminishing returns. It's still hefty, so you're basically doing half as much damage as you would. But you don't save both those pounces for the end. A lot of that time is just let's fight and be tanky. Right here, he gets both in. Narc deleted, and this is a flank, ladies and gentlemen.
Is he coming back? Narc, he's just going to hold that L as well.
That's smart.
I think Vex, what are they doing? It's discommunication, it feels like. The Ancient Ray just popped.
Yeah.
The Terminus ult isn't it. What are we going? Are we resetting? What are we doing here?
I'm not sure if there's a clear plan. Wonderful, though, finally gets taken down. And Nick, that's kind of the, I don't know, maybe the straw on the camel's back for Fable. They have been avoiding so much of these wipes just because Wonderful's been making it out alive. This time he doesn't. Trinsic falls as well. Vex Gaming comeback mechanic capturing 4% now each taken, so they may have a chance to go ahead and just take this.
Very staggered kill, and I think with SoldierBot, both of his dashes used to get out.
Bye.
Fable giving this one up. Beautiful timing there. Wonderful's just trying to get in and touch, but he can't. He's hooked away. SoldierBot is there to clean it up.
And those are those plays. Does Genos need to leave there? Can you just stand? I know Lexi doesn't want to fall, and I love it. He plays the long play, but he's got to have Narc really come through. He's still got the reanimate, and this is when you want to come back, when you force him away, and this should turn into an objective captured. Vex Gaming with perfect ultimate execution on Narc's end, end up taking it and making this a game.
He saved it for a long, long time, but baby, it was worth it. That's the first point on the board for Vex Gaming. These Drogo's rockets are raining in from long distance, and I have to say, Vex Gaming, they're going to have a lot of high ground control. Narc's already up there. World Edit is going to be able to join him pretty shortly.
I also have to say, because a lot of this, you know, there's a lot of people who are getting this mark, and you can even prioritize your front lines and Leon. So I haven't seen World Edit with the Luminary mark very often in this game. And so really not maybe taking advantage of that Luminary. I don't think that it's a problem because obviously Leon, a great counter to SoldierBot as well.
I think right now Lexi's prioritizing keeping his frontliners up. Once it gets later into the game and Genos is able to get the the Chronos 2, Chronos 3, that's when you can really maintain 3 Astro marks really, really consistently, and that's likely when World Edit is probably going to be able to see more of that bonus damage.
Yeah, that's going to be a big
also,
point.
I mean, Welsh is so guaranteed to give it to as well. That's a lot of free poke.
It really is. And I mean, you talk about each one of Leon's abilities count as weapon shots, so she's getting just more damage on everything that she does, except the Enlightenment. However, it is going to be so impactful. There's the through time and space. Lexi's in, misses off the mark, and there's the Midnight World Edit into the Dragon Punch. Can't quite find it. Wonderful. Summons himself up and away, looking like Peter Pan there on the Stegala.
It's really, really good use of the summit card here. Now Trenk is falling lower and lower. The double pounce on the Trenk. SoldierBot makes him pay.
1794. I think that's what I saw. My goodness gracious. SoldierBot showing us exactly what it means to get taken by Street Justice. Do not mess with this little gutter snipe on the streets of Serpent Beach. As Wonderful holds down the corner, still 38 seconds left. On the push, Fable in a 2-1 position. Vex trying to tie it up here, but a good hook. Gonna put Wonderful in some trouble.
But he just hooks him straight in, and Wonderful does run this treacherous ground. He cripples out 2, guarantees the kill just on a 1, but 1-for-1 trades are going to be worth it for the defenders because Wonderful is going to be making it back to this fight much quicker than Trank will be.
I'll tell you what, though, it was a great reaction by them, and it just misses the Enlightenment. Skeppy did a great job finding the angles, and Welshmania maybe just an inch off there in terms of finding full damage. World Edit goes for the Fire Spit, can't quite get anything off of it. Very fast.
It's got to be
propulsion up. Yeah, you would expect in the loadout.
Very far forward here. Wonderful. He's in a bit of a rough spot here. These rockets need to be landing. And they do, just barely. Welshmania picks up 2. Narc finds a 3rd, and just like that, it's looking pretty good for this conversion, perhaps.
I mean, and this is where you get Miracle here, and I think you got it. Because then he's staggered off. It's a beautiful shadow travel. And you got to say, just maybe 30 more health. The World Edit hits that full combustible, full Fire Spit combo, and he's able to make it happen. SoldierBot on the chase for the Dragon. He's going to find him.
And this is where he's so tanky. Right after he pounces, 300 HP left. That 300 HP
it's like 1,000.
Looking more like 1,000. Skeppy, he finds 2. Fable, hold the defense, score a defensive point, move up 3-1 this set.
And you know what? Great plays here from Welshmania to even keep this alive. They don't find Miracle, and that's the real key because they keep the healing on the board. But what is the point of the best return, right? Because the more health that you put in your loadout, the more that cap raises for when you're playing under your 40% with 6 cents of persistence. So running a Street Cred 4, that extra 100 health pushes your threshold of maybe below 40% from 800 to 900. How much value is that? Take a little bit less damage reduction to have it more frequently.
That's when you got to head to the spreadsheet.
That's when you go to the spreadsheet. Maybe Vox can do some numbers on that. Somebody give me some numbers on that.
5.
Somebody do the math here. Trank, here's his loadout. Pretty balanced outside of the Determination 5 here, but these are pretty much the popular cards at this point, at least these first 4, Determination, Strong Arm, Ebb, and Rampage. Surf's a little bit of a flavor choice there, but the card art, when you're going for those 1 points, you really want to just pick the best card art.
It's really the card art. If you don't have the Goblin in there, I mean the Goblin on the little surfboard, you gotta say, what am I doing with my life? 43 hitting Trank on the side. Narc is dead. And deciding, electing, and quite wisely, as we've seen in previous rounds, to not use it yet. Fable with 42% on the objective and counting. And everyone just poking and zoning right now.
It's losing that frontliner early and off to double pounce. It's going to be off the mark, but it's okay. Trank tried to get his Ancient Rage off, but couldn't. This sends Vex into a bit of a spiral with their front lines.
Oh, and you know what? Again, Summit up from Wonderful. It's so smart. He hears that Dragon Punch and he just waits, then pops himself back up. Narc, I think, has no choice but to reanimate here. At 78%, you've got to go. Lexy's in. What can you do? Can you hit a big one? Narc finds Wonderful there, and now he actually doesn't need to.
Do it.
Oh, Miracle goes into the Shadow Travel. There's nothing to find. She's in the abyss. 81% still on the point for Fable, and here's the Ancient Rage. Maybe not getting the same type of value as he would have hoped, but still doing enough.
Good shield there. It's really just to survive. Trank doing a good job of it. Wonderful's here. He's got the cripple. Trank is completely on an island right now. There's nowhere for him to go.
And I don't think this is going to go the way of Vex Gaming. Fable look poised and ready to take it. No ultimates on the side of Vex, and that's going to be Narc falling yet again to Miracle. Welsh, however, trying to make things interesting. World Edit finds Wonderful. Yet Skeppy takes World Edit down, and it is Fable with 3 standing on the objective, ready to continue this one. And they take game 1 here with relative ease.
Yeah, I gotta say, you know, very impressive stuff from Wonderful overall. He's the best player on console, and you know his peers kind of give him that title. It's not even me, but this man right here, I want to commend him for his Maeve play. Not an easy character, in my opinion, to pull off on console, but SoldierBot was doing all the things right. It seemed like every single time he dove for somebody, that they at least died if he didn't pick up 2 or 3, and having the ability to position properly to the point where he can dump both pounces into a tank. He doesn't need one to reposition. He gets himself where he needs to go so that he can't dump both into, you know, the Terminus or the Makoa.
It's a definite thing because you have to now play against drafting something, and Leon's a good counter. So they had a good counter for the Maeve, but now you have to look at your tanks. You know, can we prioritize this Fernando, this Terminus, this even Makoa the same way that we can, because he's just taking advantage of us having these shields, having these high health pools. You know, the Inara with the damage reduction, still maybe one of those things that might work for them. I'm very, very interested to see how they draft around this.
I like SoldierBot. Who do you guys at home like? We're going to start up the MVP poll for game number 1. I have to say one more thing as well. I think he midnighted every single Dragon Punch.
It was huge.
I think he was just saving it for that. He's playing so much value all over the field.
And that's a huge point because the Dragon Punches always were avoided with that Summit from Wonderful.
Did any land?
I don't know if any landed except maybe a mid-round Dragon Punch, and that's key. That's something you're expecting out of your Drogo's player. Let's send it back to the desk and see what they thought about game 1.
Well, Fable going strong, as I'm sure they expected, and a lot of those in the audience, despite 63% of everybody watching voting for Vex to take it.
What is mixed chat? No, I'm not. I think that Vex came into this very confident, and they were maybe talking themselves up, but Fable just calm, cool, collected, go, okay, we know what you're going to draft, we know that you like the Maeve, you know that you like doing things a certain way, we're going to just take it away from you, or we're going to dismantle it, and execution from Fable that game was phenomenal. You know, I think that Vex underestimated them for a large proportion of the game.
Especially considering Maeve was picked up in the mid part of the draft, yet they still took the Terminus against it, I think is a little questionable.
It's a rough situation, right? Because we definitely saw the Terminus bring value to the table. Narc being able to reanimate and kind of win the round at one point for the side of Vex was very valuable, but at the same point in time, we also saw how SoldierBot just walked up to Terminus at the start of another round and just deleted them. So it's really tricky drafting into something like this. The one thing that also came across through this as well was that there was some very weird utilization of specific ultimates. We saw an Ancient Rage on the high ground during one capture, for example, which provided a lot of zone and did end up in Vex getting the point in the end, but at the same point in time, it didn't seem like it was used too effectively, and a few little things like that here and there, and you know, using Dragon Punch with Midnight available and Immortal available as a counter repeatedly, and going for the kills rather than using that as something to burn enemy resources. I don't know, it's a bit of a tricky situation.
Well, and it sounds like chat actually did declare Soldier Bot the MVP of that game number 1, and I think it's very well deserved. So many shots hitting, very calculated in his target selection as well.
Absolutely, and you can see the power of that Street Justice pounce reset right there to deal double damage with the bonus coming through, and just ends up being able to play very, very well around stuff like this Ancient Raging Makoa, keeping it range. This is actually one of the situations of underestimation, I think, as well, where Soldier Bot was really able to capitalize on the fact that Vex didn't retreat when they needed to. You kind of got this Makoa who goes, okay, I've just come out of Ancient Rage, I'm full on health, and then gets locked down by Inara and deleted by that pounce. Moving into map number 2, I certainly think that Vex needs to play differently around that. Maybe even if the Maeve is on the table, I think that Vex could potentially handle that, but they need to give it a bit more of a birth of respect, which they didn't do in that game.
And I think the casters had mentioned how the Midnights were used to effectively counter the Dragon Punch, but a lot of the ultimates that came across, Fernando using his Mortal whenever it was extremely necessary against something like the Ancient Rage, whereas on the opposite end, just not getting as much value, even on the healing front.
Absolutely, and the healing front throughout that game, we saw the healing charts pulled up sort of, I think, before the third and final round coming through there, and Ceres was actually out healing the Genos, which you'd kind of expect with Avoided by Ceres, but playing into a Death and Taxes Lian, that is slightly more unusual. There's the argument, of course, that you do have that offset. Inara as a healing sponge with her Earthen Guard active, receiving so much more healing, maybe some Rejuvenate items online as well, that she just kind of buffs your numbers a little bit there. She's really the stat patter in that regard, but it feels like the composition from Vexed wasn't utilized as effectively as it could be. You know, the aim was there, the intent was there, but it couldn't be used because Fable just didn't give them the breathing space to be able to.
And there were some strong moments. You saw Welshmania on the Leon get some great kills that allowed them to slow things down a little bit, and with the help of Comeback Mechanic managed to get a point in their favor. But just that synergy on the side of Fable, and it was mentioned in the interview as well.
Absolutely.
That comms are strong for them.
It's, you know, it's comms. It's also, I think we heard in the interview with Vex that the synergy that North America has is absolutely remarkable, and really goes to show like why this is not just the region but the platform that has been at the top of the pack for the last 2 LAN events, maybe going into the 3rd one now as well. And none of the players look particularly phased by that. Vex, they'll need to collect themselves. We are in a best of 5, folks, so that was effectively, alright, we'll give them that one. We'll figure out how they're playing, and maybe Vex can come back in strong with something else. You know, we saw the Eevee hover, the Barrack hover. There's going to be another trick up their sleeve somewhere here.
I also feel so thrown off because one minute Skeppy's playing, the next year he's not playing, and then we load in and see him there, and it's like, oh, there he is.
Skeppy exists in a quantum state. Skeppy is only playing when observed, and just doesn't exist the rest of the time. You know, is Skeppy playing? I don't know. Are we watching the game? Yes, apparently. So we'll see how that goes. And that's one of the things which I am wondering as well. Currently, Skeppy is playing with a hand injury. We might find that as the day goes on, it is a best of 5. If it goes the distance, that kind of mechanical fatigue on you know, a really important, I want to say, part of your body that is kind of, well, it's your hand. It's necessary for being able to play at all. I wonder if, like, they might end up getting subbed out purely because that becomes an issue, which might actually influence the entire sort of outcome of the set overall.
And Bright Marsh is going to be our map number 2 within the set. Yeah, of all things to get injured, you can deal with a leg injury. I mean, Rain Day was still able to game and go hard in casting when he had his casting or whatever brace.
He was casting and casting at the same
time.
Yeah,
he was casting and cast, and it was just fine for him. But the hand, very important, obviously, for play. But Skeppy was still holding it down for the rest of the team. And you're right, maybe if the series goes a little too long for them, it could become more of an issue.
And that's something which you have to think about, right? Of course, these players need to be able to look at the compositions that they've got in terms of their players, and they need to play to their strengths. If it comes to a situation where that does become an issue, then they need to recognize that actually the best decision might just be rotating out a player, playing sort of a 6-man roster instead of a 5-man, and being able to utilize that to their full extent. And I have no doubts that a team that's, you know, been at the top of, as we said, has the capacity to do that. There's no kind of bravado or pride or like, I can do this despite that. And even then, there's a final still to play tomorrow as well, Gabriella. It's not over just today, so they've got to hold something in the tank, something in the reserves for that as well. Did see the map draft come through a second ago. It was Bright Marsh that we're heading to as well, though, so I'm excited for this. Different, much more compact. Do you think there's enough room for Maeve to play on here as well?
I wouldn't really necessarily expect to see the Maeve come out here unless it's dependent upon the opposing composition, and we'll see what bans end up coming through. But maybe we'll see a Pip come through. We know World Ed actually really likes that pick and could be advantageous for their team.
I'm interested to see, especially if something like a Pip does come through. Console's had a long history of originally damaged Pip. It was a lot of sort of the weightless Pip style of play, and that actually got removed from the game. praise Grover. And then we're moving towards, especially PC Go, and we're going to play an exclusively Mega Push. And even if we're drafting double support, it's all about that burst heal. And I want to see if maybe that can be picked up here. On this super compact map, we know that with Medicinal Excellent, that healing potion goes through walls, has a massive AoE. You can effectively heal the entire inside of the Bright Marsh point if you just throw a healing potion into the center. Could be super valuable if they want to go full tank here.
And with Vexed, I think sticking to some of those comfortable picks is going to be in their favor. Because even World Edit on the Drogos, with the changes that happened, still had some good plays despite
we
the
saw them
Dragon
outplay the
punches.
Mave in the backline at one point on defense. And that was whilst Mave was pretty much outside of their spawn. So maybe too little too late at that point. But still was able to get a kill, was able to outplay the flanker. I think there's a lot of potential there. It just didn't seem like the gears were all kind of rotating. They just weren't meshing particularly well.
So what changes do you think specifically need to happen for Vexed in the draft?
I want Vexed in the draft specifically to look for synergizing ultimates. That last game, there was a lot of setup potential from Fable. They had the Convergence, you know, they had the Midnight as the counterplay, the Immortal as the counterplay. Vex kind of just had, alright, we got a Dragon Punch, and we got an Ancient Rage, and we got a Reanimate. It's things which just kind of do things for you. Sure, they do something for your team, they maybe buy some space, but they don't necessarily combo, and it's that combo play that I'm really interested to see. Fable starting things off with Xin, though, high prioritization of the flankers we have seen before. Vex stripping the Inara Genos early on, though, is interesting. Genos not the biggest throughput healer. It's constant throughput, but it's not a big burst, which we often see synergize with Inara to really top her off, so maybe not as survivable as we might expect here.
But we do see Lexi on that pick so often, so I think a lot of times when it is open, they go for it just because of that.
It's just comfort, and also you want to strip it away from Fable, right? Especially with them drafting a Xin and a Cassie here now as well. You don't want them getting that 15% bonus damage from Luminary, but Terminus and a Pip coming through for Vexed is a composition and a combination that I really like here. I dig the Pip in this situation because you got so much potential to pocket heal your team. That Terminus, that Inara that might be receiving additional healing when below a threshold or when Earthen Guard is active, so a lot of value that can come through from that. Ceres, of course, picked up on Bright Marsh. It's a compact map. Void of Bias just does a lot of legwork here, but I was almost expecting, with the Terminus being drafted, another Mave pickup here instead of a Torvald and go triple DPS.
But at the same time, just looking at the composition available to Vexed, I think they are playing to some of their strengths, but let's leave it to the casters to continue to break down for game number 2.
It's interesting, you know, you got to often ask with such a drastic change in drafts heading into game 2, having both Sigala now.
Teams.
I mean, for both teams, exactly. You know, how does this play? It almost feels like starting the set anew.
I think that a lot of this game is going to revolve around what the Xin does, what talent he goes for. I don't know what you guys think. On paper, both these teams look really strong in their own right. We're going to start up the poll here in the Mixer chat for you guys to vote on which team you think is going to take this one. But again, I think the onus of execution was on Vex last game. This time around, I think it's definitely on Fable.
And I think, you know, when you have that, you know, it is a very important thing to consider. Fable started the tone of that game. They were the ones who said, all right, we're gonna send Wonderful out there. We're going to jump in with that summit and just make them on the back foot. And with Vex having a team that relied on their execution, them playing to their style, it's tough because it seemed like almost Fable stole that from them.
Yeah. That was such a cool play, too.
It was.
It felt uncharacteristic, almost to the point of like we are literally trying to set the tone for this set right here, right now. We're getting straight into your face. Soldier Bot down here on the Xin, already under some pressure, forced to billow out at just a minute in.
And Pip just staying right on top. World Edit staying with the blasters here. Shaolin can be very deadly on any platform. Welshmania and Narc finding the kill on the Soldier Bots. Are already things changing up for Vex.
Oh, baby.
A big slam down for Narc, and he goes ahead and definitely makes a statement here in game 2.
And that's one of those fun little things that you can do if you have a ceiling above you with Terminus. Shatterfall, you can actually get it off extremely quickly, and the spray comes out from Welshmania. Vex Gaming off to a lightning start here in game number 2.
Better watch ahead. Miracle needs to back out because this is just too much damage. The counter knew that was going to not really work, but a great shot falling away. I mean, some serious mastery of Shaolin on this console platform.
They're ready
Soldier Bot trying to make it in, but they all know exactly where that's coming from. They've read that book before. They've seen that movie. No spoilers needed. They already know the plot line, and Welshmania finding a double, sending Fable.
Have they gotten a kill?
Back to the drawing board.
Have Fable killed anyone yet? Nothing.
Really doesn't feel that way.
Hot nothing. in the first 2 full-fledged fights here from Vex Gaming. The Shaolin already paying dividends, has the Luminaire hitting for 1150. But again, this Torvald Zin, not really off to a great start here. I wonder if he's running Guillotine or Yomi.
That's a good question as well.
Let's ride along with Zin here so we can figure out what he's actually picked up.
Slash shot might tell us, gets a little bit of bonus damage. 1 minute and 50 seconds now for Vex to try and push this thing through, and it looks to be Yomi for sure, and that will tell us there as that last shot travels through enemies. Does hit walls, though.
I mean, Guillotine definitely could have worked here against both these Tagalas. Getting one of them off the board instantly would have been a great way to go here. A couple of COTS picked up as well. You can see the other talents selected for these professional console players. Here comes the Evil Mojo from distance. It's going to convert a kill onto Wonderful and Skeppy.
Wow, Welshmania hits the gas pedal, and that's what I like as well. World Edit, not afraid to use that Evil Mojo just for 1, ends up getting 2. I mean, that's about as big a value as you can get. Fable now working with just a few members, and they keep getting staggered like this. This could easily be a 2-0 push. This is shaping up to be a seriously good start for Vex.
I mean, Evan, both Stegala, the Luminary as well, with the freaking Catalyst Pip has been swinging like a truck, while Shamania's been pretty on point. I don't see a weak point for Fable to even look to exploit.
And that's the question.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a weak point? And I guess if you all get pulled into the convergence, that's got to be it. But still, they only lose 1 in that, Nick, and it is an important one. Of course, Lexi said.
Where's the punish?
Trying to stay alive here, but Nick, this Hyper Beam, it might just push them all away.
Skeppy, turn around. He's right there. World Edit.
Oh, boy.
There's a couple of big shots into their faces. Picks up a double kill. Vex Gaming with a 2-0 start. Fable, I mean, they've just got to feel stunned after that.
Maybe in disbelief that their own myth is not as strong as it would appear. Vexed, not looking vexed this time around. They've left that job to their opponents as they take a 2-0. And I had mentioned it's like a new game, and it certainly is feeling like that for us to watch.
There's some of the items coming through, and it's such a rough round for Fable overall. I don't think they're going to be able to afford many tier 2 items here. Miracle gets morale boost 2, and a resilience 2 comes online for Wonderful. But that's about it. Here's the loadout for Welshmania, running a lot of CDR. Here in this, and a great start for him. 6-1 for Welsh, 5-0 for World Edit, 5-1 for Narc.
Big deal here as well. Coming in with the Decimation choice, we've seen Mighty run this a little bit. We've seen a few through time and space. Going to be off the mark, although it was a good attempt. Forces the Billow. And there's an Evil Mojo yet again, but the bubble comes out just in time. I think they know that chicken is just a little too tanky to fry right now, but it does buy them a lot of space, a lot of room. Planet goes in. Wonderful with the fireball. He bets it all on red, and he wins.
Just barely. Gets a big heal as well. Lexi, he's got the Astro Marks out on his teammates, but it's a 2v4 in this situation. I don't know how aggressive they're looking to get. Wonderful doing a good job holding this angle. Trank, he has to get on the objective. He has to touch. CC immunity on the Inara, so the Soldier Bot ultimate goes straight through her.
And I think that's his intention. I think he just wants to not get stunned out so that he can stay alive. And it ends up not working out for him, at least in that little moment it does. Wonderful jump here by World Edit, who hasn't died. And you know what? That's really the thing. When you have a Pip who's this kind of big game changer here, and he's 15 streak, he hasn't died yet, that's always going to result in wins. That's going to result in you taking control of this game.
Man, oh man, waits out the counter here.
What a
doesn't
play.
find the kill. Heat haste, just to kind of moonwalk out of that room for the time being. Wonderful gets to the objective. No planet available while you're in Heat haste. Here's a convergence. I don't know if he knows that he's pulled in Welshmania, but he's certainly following it up.
And the problem is Wonderful right there, able to follow up, but he's in such a defensive position. They've already put him in such a bad spot that he can't really get too offensive there. And Decimation doing just that, hits the Calamity Blast into a Soldier Bot, and now he is more of a bot than a soldier. Sent to Spectator. Dark on a 4 streak, swinging away, doesn't have the reanimate, so he will fall thanks to Skeppy.
Wonderful, just barely staying alive. He's just now returning to the fight. Is his healer, and Fable will sneak it away. The front line from Fable bail the boys out of what it could have been a really bad situation.
You know, and sneak, it is a word that feels appropriate for that moment, but also it's really a result of Skeppy being able to finish off a clutch kill onto Narc there. If Narc has the reanimate, that fight is totally different, but he doesn't. And that allows Wonderful to step on. You got to give credit to Wonderful for staying alive. He uses the Immortal to stay alive. He elects to be more defensive than offensive in that moment after the convergence, and it results in a big payoff for him and his team.
Have the spite here available. Soldier Bot throws up the counter. 154 on the clock. Ultimate's available for both teams. The snipe will actually connect on a Wonderful. That'll be the first pick of this engagement. Big Deal goes out on the Trank as well. And it looks like Vex Gaming will be able to stabilize for the time being. World Edit is absolutely massacring people on this pit.
Hard to hit these kind of shots on PC when you have, admittedly, probably more ability to control your aim to finer, precise moments. But World Edit here showing that there's absolutely no platform that can stop him from dominating on this pit. Just a wonderful performance, wonderful selection of who to attack as well. And the healing's been on point also.
And like, that's fine. You know, it's Catalyst pip, yes, but that's such a big boon. The fact that Lexi doesn't have to worry about that Inara, the burst heal synergizes so well with Inara. And he's picked up Moxie 5. This is actually kind of a Diggy Dog style loadout. Diggy was the first person I saw pick up Moxie. And this is really just to help World Edit make sure that he can maintain sustain. He is really looking for a lot of 1v1ing, a lot of dueling with this loadout.
And he's, I mean, this high ground, it's so hard to get him off it as well. He's riding this
No one can. Literally no one from Fable can get up there.
Throws that. He's got the Evil Mojo as well, Nick. So looking at these ability cooldowns, it's going to be kind of a big impact to see if he uses it. Running with the Luminary as well, so hitting for 930 instead of that 840 that you usually see there. There is a spike coming through from the Zen, but World Edit falls right back and gets Skeppy off the board.
Oh my goodness, this has to be answered. The movement, the shots, the ultimates, everything has been on point so far from World Edit. This has to be answered by Fable. Right now, they are getting absolutely dominated, and they just look cross-eyed trying to take this pip off the high ground.
And I will say that, you know, great stuff by Trinsic as well. Got to point him out. And the fact that those bubbles are consistently saving Soldier Bot's life, extending his life, making it more of a problem. I'm glad that Welshmania picked up the Wreckers, but I'm not sure if it's enough quite yet to really make Soldier Bot not as much of a threat as he has been.
Zen looking to get in here. Trinsic could create a lot of space with the Hyper Beam.
That's
the Snipe
big.
Connects on a Soldier Bot. That's a free pick. I think Fable, you might want to look to just call it there.
And you know, Welshmania trying to find Skeppy, and you can tell that this push is not going anywhere anytime soon as Wonderful gets taken down as well. And this is going to be Miracle forced back into Shadow Travel or back to base. But either way, that's going to result in what they're looking for. A nice emote, a nice little Drogo's Dragon Spray. And a great showcase of Decimation here from Dark as well.
Does a good job getting up into the objective and dumps it into Soldier Bot. Connects every single Calamity Blast. Bugsy would be very, very proud.
That was another big moment that, you know, he goes in, starts swinging onto the Fernando, but Wonderful just keeps that shield up. You know, not enough multi-directional pressure. He stays alive, and unfortunately, Narc ends up falling shortly thereafter.
Wonderful is leading damage right now on Fernando by a large margin.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Mind you. Incredible. I mean, best player on console for a reason. I think right now, the front line is really the only thing going super well for Fable. That's what's keeping them in the game. And a comeback mechanic definitely helping. But Vex, they still score a defensive point here, and they're able to potentially put the game away here and now.
This is a best of 5. This is between both Xbox teams. One from North America, that's Fable. One from Europe, and right now, the Europeans trying to answer back with some incredible play. They've been working this pip to the max, and Wonderful throws that shield up. How well will allow him to survive this time around? World Edit trying to sneak away and find Soldier Bot. He knows he's drifting there. Soldier Bot in a really precarious situation. He's finally going to go down.
Still does. A lot of mistakes made by World Edit in terms of just the movement. Misses Explosive Flask as well, but it's going to be okay. No one on the objective right now. These front line for Vex are looking to go out, looking to zone here. Fable waiting in the wings, looking for their respawns to come through before they get aggressive again.
Oh, and that's kind of lucky there. Trinsic burst all of his bubble. Welshmania is definitely dead. This could be a problem. Soldier Bot picks another one up, and he does with the help of Miracle. This is going to be probably Fable answering back here. He's got a spike to get out of that hole. Lexi Zen is in trouble. Misses the third shot, and now forced to billow. Beautiful bubble yet again, right on time for Trinsic.
Comeback mechanics enabled here, so Fable are capturing much faster than Vex Gaming are, and with that, they're able to go ahead, capture this next payload. Crippled out for the time being, but Zen's able to waddle his way out of there. Terminus swings away. Soldier Bot actually whirled into that cripple. He billows out. Zen just having so many ways to get in and out of fights. He's going to be just fine.
And I mean, his extension of life, you know, it's on point every time that he goes into the billow. Trinsic has a bubble waiting for him. I love the coordination. We talked earlier about what's the difference as a reanimate comes through. Probably not going to find much between Europeans and North American teams. And one of the European teams with Prosper Logic and talking to them, they said, really, North Americans, they just play so well cohesively as a team, as a unit. And that's kind of what's the show here. But right now, Fable doing a great job of answering and saying Europeans can play just as well as a team or better.
Very clumped up. Evo Mojo potential here is high, but already finding one pick. World that it doesn't need his ultimate. He just needs his in-hands. His basic attacks are all that he will need to take down not one, not two, but three in that engagement. Gets his killing spree started up real quick.
I mean, this pip has been so fantastic, and you have to almost worry about that because really, Vex did not look the more threatening team in Game 1. Game 2, they definitely have. But as a result of really when World Edit starts to have these incredible plays, how long can you say it? We asked it on Envy last weekend, can Rock Monkey keep playing this way? He certainly could. Can World Edit do the same thing here on console?
Wonderful. Can Skeppy, step up, be a voice for his team, right? He's been, frankly, pretty quiet so far. Playing with that handicap, that injury. Narc goes down and his body just crumbles and falls in front of his friend, Broken Beat.
Speaking of the devil.
There he is. He's starting to pop off. Gets 2 in this engagement. 50 seconds on the clock here. Fable with a great position to convert this and tie up the game.
I mean, you lose your main healer, and I think at this point, it's not far enough to where you're not going to get a full 5-man chance at it again. I wouldn't commit ultimates here, Nick. I think it's very risky heading into a potentially 3-3 game on the line in the next round. Miracle does have the convergence, so it may find value for them to be able to say, hey, let's get ourselves a chance to win the game next round. But they've got that either way if they capture and are able to push. And there's the convergence yet again, but Skeppy gets stunned out, can't follow up.
Yeah, the follow-up is the big thing there. Narc's going to fall. Good positioning here. Shots will land from the front lines, connecting onto both those last hits. 3-0. Fable look like they're ready to convert this one. And Vex, they don't commit anything. They just give it up. And Fable, they are down 1 ultimate, but the thing about Saris, building morale boost. The bigger the ultimate she hits, the quicker she's going to get the next one out. You can see Miracle already back to 40% on conversions.
And that's what I liked about the way that they did it. And, sometimes you'll have, all right, you use your ultimate, tell us by how well that does, whether we need to commit our ultimates further to engage in this fight. And they just saw Miracle's ult. They did the convergence. It worked. They got enough of a stagger there and said, we don't need any more. Not fighting with a full tank, but neither are Fable here heading into this round. It's a big moment for Vex, whether they tie it up. Because if they let this go 2-0, it is going to be a tough road back.
I gotta say, I wasn't a huge fan of the scout usage there by Skeppy. Shaolin is on the other team. He's gonna be using his Heat Haze. He was holding it the whole time. He's built Morabus as well, so you know it's pretty much available when he's just sitting up there on the high ground. If Shaolin goes on to make plays there, I think that'll be one of the biggest mistakes that Fable have made this game.
Wonderful here, firing away. He's top damage for a reason, and he's forcing himself onto World Edit. And this now looks like he might be able to force himself onto Trank. Throws the shield. Do not let this man stay alive if you want to win, and that's exactly what Vex do. World Edit, Welsh Mania, they find 2 kills themselves. Nice heal up. He's got some moxie, you could say, and he's also got the aim. Finds the kill on a soldier bot, and Vex are in control.
World Edit has been absolutely bodying Fable with this pip. I think he's at 13-3, 14-3 at this point in the game. He has got to have the best KD by far. 14-3 he stands. 60% on the point for Vex Gaming. A great zone here from Welsh Mania and Trank. I don't know, man. This is going to get really, really hectic for Fable.
Uh-oh, Hyper Beam here, and it might just get Narc, Nick. I think he did. He knocked the Terminus off, so that reanimate does not matter, but they've got plenty of time. There's no comeback mechanic. I don't think you stress here. I don't think you get worried. World Edit has to stay alive. He's got some damage he can throw onto the battlefield. Wonderful. Doesn't see him quite yet, and he goes down. Wonderful tries to turn around and answer back, but it's not enough. Skeppy with a huge kill on the World Edit, and now Narc is back, but they don't have that pit pressure.
Waiting their time. Reanimate is up and available. If they
think you
can
go left.
Slow Narc down, they might stand a chance here. Shatter falls onto the objective. Won't catch anyone with a Shatter fall. 96% for Vex Gaming. 99.
Oh my God.
The overtime will start. Wonderful's here. He's got his ultimate, but so does Narc.
You got to pop the shield early for Fernando and then use the reanimate. This is working so well for them. If they bust the shield down, I think this is game over for Fable. However, Skeppy finds 2. That's big.
Back.
Here comes Daddy. What's he bringing home for the kids? And that's an immortal answer back from Wonderful.
And look at the heal. It comes through at the perfect time. There's the Evil Mojo, though. Another one's brought up. You got to swing, though. Wonderful pops out of it. The resilience is online. Overtime started yet again for Vex. Fable still at 96%. They need to capture more. They will not send it into overtime here.
I can't believe it. Somehow, it looks like Fable has done it.
Wow.
They have taken 2-0 over Vex. And Vex, at this point, have to be just their head in their hands, disappointed that they let one slip that was so close to victory.
That hurts as well. This is the best of 5. Fable now leading 2-0. I was watching Wonderful's face. It looked like frustration, but they quickly kind of turned to a smile there. So I think Fable are even recognizing that that was not a game they felt like they were winning until they did.
It didn't really feel like a game that they should have won. But again, comeback mechanic, and you start to play smartly. And I think you look at the performance of Wonderful. You know, how can you not? What do you guys think MVP should go to? My vote is for Wonderful there.
My vote's for World Edit, even though he lost.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those where you could say that. But again, you know, World Edit has such a magnificent performance, and they still lose. That's got to say something.
It's this front line for Fable, man. They're managing themselves so
Yikes.
very well. And even having that pressure, you know, I think the comfort picks here for Wonderful are Nara and Ruckus. I don't think Fernando is not something I've seen him on a lot in the past. And we'll have to see if Onslaught are able to bring her back. They've got one game left to do so.
One game left. I mean, at this point, it's win or go home. Let's see what the desk has to say after wrapping up Game 2.
You know, I'm on the same page as Pretty Hair, where I was thinking World Edit was doing so well and trying to hold it for the team.
World Edit did some fantastic stuff that game. There was some incredible flanks to start stuff off. There was some really good like self-healing, team healing, some great multi-kills. And then it came to the last round. And we're actually chatting about this a little bit off mic, and we said, all right, so if we've got the Xin and this Banana that are creating this split flank pressure from the side of Fable constantly. They're really splitting the focus of Vex, allowing Skeppy on Cassie just to go nuts and just basically hold down right trigger and not really do anything else, and that's a problem. And we were talking about how we want to see, you know, like maybe the ult come out early from World Edit and just burn somebody immediately. World Edit does get kind of like a nice 1v2 going, ends up getting a couple of kills there, really helps Vex get some early capture, but everybody's split up. Everybody's split in focus. Vex weren't acting as a coordinated unit there. They were acting as two independent groups. And against a team which wants to divide and conquer with the style of draft, which was brought to the table by Fable, I'm just not sure that that was the wisest decision there.
And that's why you have those moments that were very impressive. At one point during that last round when World Edit was 14-3 and 14, I'm not sure what his exact final stat line was, but then in the end, when you look on the opposing side and they're just not worrying about trying to stagger in any way or anything like that, and Skeppy, despite his hand injury, is actually MVP of this game. And he mentioned in his interview his champ pool actually getting a bit compromised because of the injury, so he's sticking with things like the Cassie.
And the Cassie did a lot of work this round so far, and this game in general. And again, it just seemed to be the fact that Skeppy was able to do so much, was able to utilize that damage so well because the rest of the team brought space. You know, the Xin enabled by Torvald was constantly drawing fire with SoldierBot doing a good job there. And Wonderful is just sort of a force of nature by himself, is often the Fernando going, I'm going to be top damage in round 2. So that kind of speaks for itself. And this just, again, lets Skeppy just go, okay, I'm going to sit at the back of the map, I'm going to play safe, I'm going to play from range, I'm just going to poke people. And playing into a composition where you're facing double support, right? Kinetics on Cassie matters so much, so really good pick utilization there as well.
Well, and speaking of Wonderful on the Nando, when it came to actually duking it out on the point fight, specifically in that overtime, and you're going against the Terminus, who we talked about how the shield's up, and Terminus, you can't alone take that down, and if no one else is focusing, then you're spending a bit too much time doing that. And then right there in the end, when a Great Evil Mojo came out, but the focus just wasn't rotating to the exact place that it needed to.
Right, and that seemed to be a bit of a hindrance through Vex throughout a lot of the duration of that game. They kind of rolled early, they got a couple of critical picks, but then moving forwards from there, the target focus and the coordination just wasn't on a different level to Fable. I don't think it's fair to say it's bad. It's just Fable did it better, and that really does come into play. That really does end up mattering. And Wonderful also is making very good use of their ultimate economy as well, recognizing that, again, they've got the Ceres, they've got the Fernando, they've got these wombo combo ultimates where you can kind of go all in on a group of enemies, and you can use Immortal to keep the rest of your team alive. And Wonderful, you know, holding that Immortal in the tanks, specifically recognizing that, like, hey, Narc is going to reanimate here as the Terminus, is really, really critical. But moving on from that, I mean, Fable, they've taken 2 back-to-back wins. Vexed this is do or die for them. They're going to Frozen Guard. It's not a popular map at all in the console scene, actually. They really don't tend to like it, so I'm excited to see if maybe this is a pocket strategy specifically from Vexed.
This is for sure not one of the maps that we were talking about going into this land that, yeah, console boys, they love to go to this location, that location, not so much.
It's more frequently banned, actually, than it is picked, so again, this seems like it really is the niche one to come through, and mentioned it earlier in the day. In fact, we've heard the European scene is talking about, hey, we might have some sniper picks coming through, a little bit in the back pocket there. I'm wondering if maybe they're picking this long line of sight based map to really enable some distance play and maybe also hinder to a degree SoldierBot, who's been playing excellent flank so far.
And it is loser's map pick, and this is your last opportunity to keep yourself in the set since it is a best of 5. But you do have to worry about Soldier Bot. In the first game, Maeve, very impactful. In the second game, we actually talked about thinking that with Xin was going to go guillotine because of the big bulk units on the opposite end, but Yomi, because of the free firing that was possible, actually worked out really well.
It really, really did, and again, it just comes down to the fact that the coordination from Fable allowed that execution to be so perfect. So, on Game 3, they're obviously going to want to continue that. They want to go into this Frozen Guard map, looking for that. And it's difficult to say as well, because so far we've seen a sort of more diverse terrain-based map with Serpent Beach, where we saw Maeve come out, which was very successful, and now we've seen this more flat and compact map of Bright Marsh, where they played again. They changed their style of composition and executed flawlessly. Fable, they're adaptable. Vexed, again, they've tried to flex onto a few different things here, and it hasn't worked out too well. At this point, I'm wondering if it's better for Vex maybe to turn around and go, you know what, let's go to true comfort. Let's just play. We're not going to bend our composition to the meta. We're going to bend the meta to our composition. We're going to play what we know so well that it forces you to kind of fall in line with us.
It's tough, though, because in some ways it was going that way in game number 2 when you have World Edit on the pip. Narc has been digging the Terminus lately, and you have the Inara there as well. But just in the end, when you get those 3 points and you're not able to close out with that last point that's necessary, and you have some on these comfort picks, then it's got to make you nervous going into the next draft.
And it's curious as well, right? Because you're playing into double shield in that previous game, specifically as Vex. You get the Wrecker online, the later it goes, the more quickly you break down those shields. And you would expect that the Torval becomes more easy to counter, the Fernando becomes more easy to counter, and also you're playing into a Ceres who has the early game healing advantage. So with Cauterize being picked up later and later on into the game, you're shutting that down even more. It was just the adaptability of Fable and the change in playstyle that really came into effect. But here we do. Here we go. We are into the draft. We do have our bans coming through, and I think that Vex taking away the Xin is important on a map like this. We know that Yomi with that kind of travels through everything playstyle is super critical here, but they're actually drafting the Maeve as well.
And by taking the Cassie first, actually, that means that Skeppy's not going to have it. And he was saying, with his champ pool getting compromised, I wonder how compromised. What else is he going to bring to the table?
I would expect Skeppy to be on Leon at this point, and because we've kind of been talking about this, it's the Bomb King, the Buck bans for Fable right here, and Vex. They've got Cassie, Genos, Maeve, and Terminus now. The last pick coming up that looks like it's a Sky. It's a hover. It could do some work versus this Leon, especially if that is a Skeppy on Leon and they can't rotate as quickly due to the injury. That could be actually kind of playing into your advantages there, but we'll have to see how Fable do come up against it as they've drafted Inara, Fernando, Ceres, Leon, and that's a very dangerous combo so far, a dangerous core, and they're adding in Lex on top of that for some execution threshold here.
So whenever we do see Sky, it usually is in console. Once in a while, they'll pop it out.
Yeah, not overly successful though, and that's the problem. She has a lot of bot potential, but then players tend to just figure her out as the games go through.
Well, this could be our last game of the set. Let's go ahead and find out and send it to the casters.
You know, I love this draft by Fable. I think that grabbing the Lex at the end really hurts the Terminus because there's just too many ways to get bursted down if you just let it slip at all. And they're running a triple DPS on the side of Vex, which is a different type of triple DPS than we've seen before, including the Sky.
Yeah, I mean, the Sky is definitely up in the air right now. It's a lot to be decided in terms of, you know, what talent you select is going to determine how you're playing right. Are you smoke and daggering, are you trying to take down some squishier characters, or are you debilitating and trying to burn through some of these tanks? However, I am very curious to see how this Lex performs, because for all intents and purposes, you know, it is 2 big magnums, but he's kind of a tracking champion.
He is.
Let's be real. And tracking is super strong on console, much stronger than I think it is on PC. So this is a character already with such incredible DPS. When you combine the tracking of some of these console players, I think this Lex could be an absolute terror on the battlefield.
Well, we'll have to see Vex fighting for their lives. Fable trying to move on to the finals, which will take place tomorrow. It's an exciting moment for both of these teams, and you've got to say that you just have to take it one round at a time. Welshmania with the Sky pick. This is one where you're not sure how it's going to turn out.
It's debilitating.
And was that a heroism from Skeppy?
I wasn't sure.
Can we see that talent really quickly? Just the talent screen one more time. It looks like it is.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I actually love this. Is actually my favorite Lex Legendary. This is my time to be the fanboy of the off-meta pick.
I love it. Well, he's going to be sliding and basically gaining what Ash had earlier, which is that 90% damage reduction, and I believe CC immunity on this one. First blood goes to Narc here, and that's a good start for them, as now this triple DPS can actually kind of run riot.
He's hitting some big shots here as well, getting a ton of healing. They've definitely invested into Skeppy as being the win condition for this first fight. He's sliding in so much mobility. Lex, so much shred on the Terminus as well. Wonderful picks up 2 into the back line.
Oh my.
5 headshots in a row. This man doesn't need his right thumb. Doesn't matter that he's cut and stitched up. He is still hitting every shot.
That is ridiculous, and definitely pulling some heroics, as we can see running this legendary that hasn't been often showcased. But it is buying him so much time, and in those duels, those 1v1s, he's really going to just be able to outlast a lot of these champions who are very burst-based, window-based in terms of the damage they can do, so Lex just extending those fights works well for Fable.
Oh, and he gets caught out there. Welshmania tags him up. Fable, they're going to capture the first objective, though. Go on the offense here one more time. Kojic takes down Welshmania. The Sky, a bit of a pick. Again, I don't, you know, he's not throwing in the towel, I don't think. You know, a lot of people think that about Sky, but there is absolute viability to that character. Quick deletion there from Lexi, who notably switches off support this game to play Maeve, and that's the only time he will do so is to play Maeve.
And he's showing that he can find the angles. Didn't need to get underneath of Fernando because, of course, that goes through shields. And that Debilitate is showing very, very, I think, a lot of promise here.
Yeah.
Looking almost like a triple kill, and a minute and 50 left. Vex have easily just pushed them back.
Debilitate will melt, and I gotta be honest, I actually really like the Debilitate Sky here. This front line from Fable has been giving Vex so much trouble.
Right.
Debilitate is hands down the best talent, best combination of resources available to melt through these front lines.
Yeah, that's no doubt about that. Through time and space happens. Seismic crash happens as well. Running out of a few resources is Vex, and maybe biting off more than they could chew. The smoke screen just trying to hide away. Welshmania does open up and misses the bolts.
You can't.
At this point, I think he's just going to go down.
You just can't miss the poison bolts. It's the whole reason. It's once you pick that talent, that front loads so much of your damage on Sky. Sky always has a lot of damage no matter what talent you really pick, but you can't be missing what you've invested into. It's like picking Smoke and Dagger and missing your
smoke screen every single time. That's exactly right. And he also has the fact that Decrepify is a card giving 75% anti-heal, so really good combination to just use this deck and just make sure Inara is not able to sustain, not able to stay alive, even with the damage reduction, although that will impact the poison bolts. But look at that. I mean, the potential is there, Nick. It's about execution.
Man. Holy crap, the Street Justice in combination with Debilitate. You see how fast these frontliners will melt. These Fable front lines seriously have to watch their step. I wonder if we'll see anyone go into Illuminate later in the game, just so they can be aware of what's coming, maybe get ready to throw up a shield.
And I mean, a lot of pressure on the Soldier bot, but you can see how much that doesn't really affect the DPS champions who have lower health pools. Welshmania caught between Lex and a Fernando. Not the place you want to be fighting. Skeppy finishes him off. Great play. Now the Maeve here. Alexi Zin could get exposed, but she finds a great turnaround dagger onto Skeppy.
But it's a 4-for-1, Evan, and that does not look good for Vexed Gaming. 3 seconds on the clock here. World Edit on the Cassie. He's trying to do what he can to stop the bleeding here, but I think priority number 1 is just to not die.
And I think if you hold on here, you have a chance. You have just a moment. You got to find a pick, and there it is. Now you got to touch down onto the objective. Time Bomb could be used, but you know you want to save that for the next fight. But he's going to maybe throw in the Convergence here, and now the Time Bomb almost forced in. It's going to go through shields. It may help to blow up the Inara, and it does. Trank finding that kill, and now World Edit able to do his thing on the Drogos, on the Pip, and now onto the Cassie finding kills and sprays.
What a rock for them, man. He really needed to go big there as well. World Edit gets down to about half HP, disengages, doesn't die, stays alive, maintains high ground. There's the 5 or so headshots from Skeppy to take down the Cassie. Incredible start to the round for him. But that defense was all about World Edit on his Cassie, as well as that Time Bomb felt a little bit panicked as well. I don't know if it actually connected with anyone, but Time Bomb actually not super effective against Inara. She can block it with line of sight, and as well as just really pop Earth and Guard and not really worry about it too much.
And I think, you know, he's going to be doing enough damage here to not really worry about having that Time Bomb yet again. It's another point objective secure where you just get people to back off. You just get people to really respect space. And obviously they already have the reanimate for that. World Edit giving some great vision, and that's going to help just, I think, starting these fights for them. Lexi Zen looking to maybe finish off. Beautiful Fernando shield there just to make sure he doesn't get clipped by anything. And there's the Immortal as well for us from Shinsei.
Good in hands of connecting here for this Maeve across the way. Skeppy.
Oh, he got him.
Take that risk. Narc finds the snipe on a Soldier Bot. Soldier Bot's getting picked a lot by these Genos ultimates.
And that's a big big play from Narc here, switching off of the front line. We've seen him. Trank taking the onus of the Terminus this time around, and now the Genos. Beautiful through time and space to find one of the key fraggers here for Fable. Vex Gaming now in control. No comeback mechanics, so they're going to have to fight one more, and their zone's going to have to be effective. So far it is.
We got to stop seeing people dying on the zone, though. From
Oh,
Vex.
boy.
Yes, you should zone, but you shouldn't be losing
Bye.
people for a double kill. Lexi finds 2. Street Justice 1, Street Justice 2.
And this is where you throw your poison bolts. This is where Sky starts to pay off. This is where the Mave and the triple DPS start to pay off, when there's pressure on the line. And that's what Vex Gaming are walking the tightrope of pressure. And so far, they're making it across safely.
So far, so good in this Vex Gaming composition here. World Edit. Again, pulling some big weight, but shout-outs to Lexi. Again, not one of the few, if any, even cross scenes on the PC as well, supports that will flex onto flankers.
Yeah. Power Siphon almost saving the life of Welshmania there. Just great use. I love seeing that used for team play. It blocks so much, and oftentimes as a front line, you think me. Keep myself alive. Give me healing, but when you can do that for your teammates, and that blast shot
that was sick.
Cannot be running blast shot cooldown in his loadout, because he certainly would have gotten a full one.
No, he did. He did. He got a full one back. That was his second blast shot there. I mean, you got to hit like, what, 3 or 4 people, though, to get that full reset, and he did, boy. World Edit. He's connecting in a big way on this Cassie in the Battle of the Stealth. Welshmania cross-eyed right now, looking for the Saris, just trying to barely track her down.
I mean, he's ready to debilitate. Those poison bolts felt like they did 12 damage. Like, that felt like 0 damage. He hit at least 2 of them onto the Saris. And obviously not a big health pool. You need to be prioritizing the tanks. It's really big payoff, but a very low reward for lower health champions.
Honestly, that's always the way I've felt about poison bolts. I'm like, yes, dude, 44% of their HP. It's going to be huge, and then it's just like...
Wait, what?
That's not 44.
That's not 44.
You know, obviously post-mitigations and healing, all that good stuff. Or good stuff, at least, for these Fable front lines to keep themselves alive. Good stuff for the Saris as well. Big healing numbers coming through from her. 55 on the clock. Ultimate's online for both squads as Vex start knocking on Fable's doorstep.
And this is where things get a little difficult. You need to bait people in. This is where your DPS need to take some of the onus of pressure here, and they're applying it. SoldierBot having to back off. Trank is really in a deadly dance between survival and extinction, and he unfortunately goes extinct thanks to his wife, or the girl we like to call his wife. This is the Gala in kind, the female version of the Terminus. And of course, Lexi said with the Midnight, can elect to use that if he wishes. And he may just find the time to do it if they take down Skeppy here.
Misses a couple of sets of in-hands there. Skeppy misses the pounce as well. Lexi in and out, so tanky because of the Street Justice loadout, but not enough to bail him all the way out. Last couple of seconds here on the clock. Fable look like they've held this defense. Trank,
I think they want to go for it.
He's making moves. He's going to swing down the Warders field. Shadow falls down to the payload.
He got it, though.
It's going to cost him his life.
Got the reanimate. You know what? That's a worthwhile thing, because you don't have any craziness that happens. I mean, a crazy moment, maybe he gets just deleted. Lex comes through, you get an enlightenment, or you get a convergence pulled in, seismic crash, you can't play, you still don't have the reanimate. At this point, he is going to have that threat.
And see, Lexi's made the fatal mistake of playing with Chase. Because once you play with Chase, you can't play without
Can't go
him.
back.
It's so much fun to run around at hyperspeed here, taking just Persistence 3 instead.
In 15 seconds.
And you know,
I don't mind that.
You gotta kind of do the math to see where it's worth it, because with diminishing returns, you are giving up a lot on one end or another.
It's certainly true.
And the system always gives you your one single biggest thing unmitigated, right? So you're still going to be able to get that 6 cents, that 30% guaranteed. Persistence is going to be mitigated one way or another. Lexi looks like a guy who is taking this to the spreadsheet and figured out where it's worth.
It definitely does feel that way. And you know what? I wouldn't mind getting that 40% instead of the 20% a lot of people run it with. It is going to be more damage reduction, but how much more, again, the value is what we're looking at. This has not been a good matchup for him, but he hits all the shots afterwards and actually takes the time to spray. Time Bomb is available and ready, and the Immortal already used. They've got nothing to stop this reanimate, and there's Lexi Zen taking it to wonderful World Edit, getting in on the action as he takes Trinsic, and it's all of Fable falling back.
Vex Gaming just coming alive here. Welshmania picking up a couple of key frags on the Sky. He wins that 1v1 with SoldierBot, and then, I mean, everything else goes well for Vex, but even if it hadn't, he had complete control of that side of the map. A lot of things to work with here. Vex, don't lose somebody in your zone, though. That's the difference. That's what I want to see them adjust and the improvement I want them to make.
But this is such a good play from them, right? Because they get the zone. It's a perfect capture. They can take this one again. Vex are not wanting to give up this set quite yet. 2-0, a lot of people have been writing them off already in chat. But Mixer, I got to know, do you think Vex can pull this win out, or do you think Fable's going to close it in the following round? I'd love to know what you guys think about that. I think Vex can do it here, man, if they just keep this momentum.
It's going to be a momentum shift. This is a best of 5, so Fable could potentially put the set away here if they're able to bounce back. But Vex Gaming with a conversion here would get themselves on the board, force the game 4. Give us a couple more action-packed sets so far. Lexi complete disengage there, dumps all the cooldowns. But this fight could still go either way.
Tell you what we haven't seen utilized very often. It's the Lexecution. Haven't seen that very much.
It's so hard to get off. Line of sight blocks, got a long wind-up. Skeppy got one. He killed Lexi with it in the first round, but I haven't even heard it go off since.
And that's another great.
Oh yeah!
Here it is.
Oh yeah!
Skeppy with the quadra kill. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
Skeppy,
man.
right as we mentioned it, turns up the heat and makes a play out of this world on the Lex.
Oh my goodness, that's the one time Caster's Curse has worked out in someone's favor. Oh, you guys want to see one? He's tapped into comms right now.
That's
he's
right.
got
dude.
us wired.
Oh man, we better be nice to these guys as well, especially
he's been struggling though, and again, wonderful, pulling top damage. It's really a hell of a thing to watch. Fernando, Inara, whatever it is, without Luminary either.
Every time.
It has no damage bonuses. He is literally just pulling top damage on these frontliners.
And I mean, let's go back to the topic of really the center of everyone's attention here, Skeppy still. Love the way he's playing with the heroism because, running on that right click, getting just the ability to have the auto aim, have the definitely non-mitigated damage unless you're running some type of damage reduction on that side. But he's got 90% damage reduction while he's sliding. You can use that auto aim during the slide, which Skeppy is performing quite often. It's a nice piece of tech to mean, like, I'm not taking any damage, and you definitely are.
You can use your whole kit while you're sliding on. You can reload.
Yep.
You can roll the old slot machine there, pick a new target. Fable looking good so far. On the defense here, this has been a very stalwart one of the best they've put up. Of course, that little quadra kill always helps to keep things moving in your favor. Wonderful playing this angle nicely, throws up his own wall, gets a half heal there, 4 seconds on the clock. Rolling in, World Edit's going to capitalize.
But and that may be just what they need right here. I mean, Skeppy, although he's got all the damage reduction in the world while he's sliding, not sliding right now. A Soldier Bot Skeppy, they find a couple of kills here. And, maybe that's enough. The fact that they got the Enlightenment, maybe that's going to feel good enough for them. World Edit still fighting out of his mind as well. Almost winning that duel yet again. But it seems like Skeppy is just too strong here.
When you lose that, I mean, Skeppy and Lex in general, a character that can very easily stop all the rest of the fight there. And maybe not the most well-earned spray of all time, but we got to run this one back here. Gets a couple of quick kills. The quick double, I'm surprised, to be honest, that he gets this one out. He just has it. He was really looking for the Terminus, but Maeve just offered herself up to make the highlight reel play happen.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from Skeppy. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, there's no other way to describe him. Young man from Florida, St. Augustine. Traveled this way through car, not having to go too far. His opponent's coming across the pond from Europe, so there is a little bit of ease of travel, ease of rest, and adjustment for these guys. And so far, it's worked out in Fable's, I think, hand.
13-7 for Skeppy as well. While not pulling a lot of damage, it's like he's going to get in there and he's going to kill you, and then he's going to leave. He doesn't really poke much. That's just the way Lex works. Wonderful. Not the case, though. Resilience makes that a very quick midnight. The clock will strike 1 in the morning as he finds the big dunk on the Lexi.
But the problem is he is getting assaulted from all sides. But how can this Lexecution pay off here? I think he's just going to try to go for the daggers. He knows he has it. And that just may be enough. The revolver, though, still not enough here. He's going to finally claim him, and there's the reanimate. Vex Gaming used that quite early in this fight, Nick.
World Edit knew that Skeppy was looking to push him. He's on an 11 streak right now. These angles are going to be big. I don't think he realized that Lexi came up over the corner here. Lexi has the potential to go pretty big. There's a lot of low HP targets.
And they isolate World Edit as a result of that, who could just skit onto Wonderful. Vex are looking good, Nick. They may just extend this set. There's another one from World Edit. He's been playing phenomenally today for the side of Vex Gaming. Lexi's in, takes control, and she takes the Maeve, and it might just be Vex who take the win.
Big changes in the draft. Triple DPS pays off on Frozen Guard. Vex Gaming will stay alive. They'll play at least one more game before having to go back across said pond. And that's a good one, right? They're smiling now. They got that deep breath. They got one under the belt. They've got to win. They know it can happen. They've cracked Fable. They've got them bleeding on the back foot. But can they drive it home?
I mean, who would have thought that it would be the Sky of all people that would be your salvation? And despite how well Skeppy played, there was just no doubt in my mind that the triple DPS, the pressure that applied, you know, Vex were able to walk that tightrope of really applying it while also keeping Trank alive in a beautiful way. Who do you guys think deserves MVP, Nick? In your eyes, who gets that for you?
I got to give it to Lexi there. I think he played extremely well, and having that gear shift, and just, I think, really having the balls, I think, to make those big changes, go to a kind of, like Vox said, you know, this is a map that is banned out more often than picked. So even for this Vex Gaming squad, this is a risk that they take that did pay off.
Well, let's see what the desk has to say about it. This set's not over by a long shot. Game 3 wraps up, and Vex get their first win.
Oh, lordy. Vex. And I'm honestly a little bit in that early part of the game was thinking they're not necessarily having the right target selection. Some of those bolts weren't hitting, but it really came together.
It did towards, it progressed throughout the game. Early on, I think that Fable kind of sort of started to dismantle Vex a little bit. They go, okay, the Maeve's going to peek, everybody focus the Maeve. The Sky's been revealed, everybody focus the Sky. But as the game went on, we saw some really good target switching from the side of Vex. They started to get the focus down. They discovered, like, who's the issue. And then also just Lexi's positioning right there was able to shut down an Enlightenment before... for example, before it was even popped off, get a double kill very easily, had fantastic target switching, was always in the right place as well. Maybe something to do with the chase card in their loadout, letting them position so quickly.
Yep, Lexi being your game MVP there, and even the way of initiating that last fight where early on there was some domination from Vex because the use of ultimate starting off with the Midnight to disorient them a little bit and then snowballing it into such early percentage and then wiping 4 off the board later allowed them to secure.
Yeah, that kind of chip capture trickle through early on and then just hit the gas when you really need to. And the execution was great from Vex that game. The triple DPS was certainly a change which I don't think Fable were prepared for with the draft which they brought out there, or necessarily prepared for the scope of, right? It was more damage than maybe even expected. And nobody expects the kind of the Maeve, the Sky to pop off quite like they did. But moving into another map again, I'm wondering if Fable are just going to go, okay, well, you know what, you go triple DPS, we can go triple DPS, and if they'll match to match maybe, and see if they can provide something similar in that regard.
But I do really enjoy the way that Vex approached that. When it comes to game number 3 and you're down 2-0, then you have a decision to make. Do we go with comfort picks? Do we go with the same strategy and try to have that consistency? Or do we switch things up a bit and hope that that quality actually translate into a victory? And that's what happened. They take Lexi, put them on the Maeve, and then it actually worked out really well.
That is kind of the big old storyline, but also you can't really forget, we can't not talk about the fact that Welshmania was able to find critical picks at times, also stripping the Cassie, despite seeing Skeppy pick up a quadra kill during that game with Lex.
Quadra!
Stripping the Cassie away, I think that was a really good move from them as well. I mean, it also gets some inbuilt anti-heal right as well onto your side. We've always seen this for Nando so far on the side of Fable, and they've always been running wonderful when they've been running that. It's nothing but Brand, getting the early game anti-heal online, and getting the anti-heal back from Cassie with her kinetics card, I think, would have been really important about playing into this early game focus Ceres as well from this side of Fable here. So it did do a lot of work. Still, I mean, Fable came out swinging. They pushed it to 3-3. Was a last point do or die for Vexed, and
again,
it's a difficult situation, right? If this keeps on happening for Vex, if everything comes down to a knife edge, then one little slip up there, they've got to play it perfectly. One little slip up could determine the outcome of the game to be entirely different.
I did really enjoy the positioning from Welshmania, though, on the Sky. When you have that stealth capability, then you want to use it effectively. You can't just run in there and say, no one can see me, let me see what I can do.
Course.
But
and
he had great angles.
It's a tricky situation to do as well, because if you look at the composition that they're playing into, Welshmania was playing into a Lian who, if they get their crosshair over you, can hit 3 buttons and effectively deal 1200 damage to you. Has that get out of jail free Enlightenment as well, which against a Sky's health pool is pretty much a guaranteed kill. If you just hit Grace and Valor and then ult, that's a dead Sky. And at that point as well, it means that, okay, do I go for the Lian? Do I go towards the Ceres? Or actually, do I play around my team composition, use that Terminus Power Siphon sometimes, and sort of just burn down front lines? And I think that was the most effective playstyle we saw coming out of Sky. there's always that threat, right? These backline champions never feels like they can just sit there and do damage like Skeppy was during map 2, for example. They've always got to be watching their backs.
But Vex was able to rely upon other members to negate that possibility. There was a point when SoldierBot on Leon was trying to get the ultimate off, and then here comes Lexi on the Mave. Pop, 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 you're done.
Street Justice does some serious work for the squad, and I think also now Vex having this win under the belt, it provides a little bit of confidence, right? You kind of, you've broken the seal, you say, okay, we can do this, we've got one win, we can make another one. We can just got to be careful with our draft moving forwards, and from that game, we always talk about like what happened, what I want to see moving forward specifically, because ultimately this is Vex having to run back the reverse sweep now, otherwise they will be shut down by arguably the best team on console in the world right now based on previous performance. If they want to, if they want to make this win, if they want to make the run back here, I want to see Vex maintain what they just picked up. I think the triple DPS works out very well for them. I would love to see them potentially utilize it again here, and I think they want to play what's comfortable for them. Stop maybe trying to chase a meta and go, okay, this is what we're really good at, let's continue.
And we are heading off to Frog Isle, so that's going to be map number 4 of the set. And it's also worth mentioning game number 2, when Fable did take the victory, it was another 4-3. And it was obviously close when you come down to that last point. So Vexed, if they can get themselves in that situation again.
Potentially, but in the Brightmarsh game, for example, in the Brightmarsh map, it came down to really good utilization of ult economy as a resource by the side of Fable, and this time around, Vex actually utilized that, I think, better on their end. You know, we didn't see the lore channel, for example, it's harder to execute. There was Midnight for the disruption, as you remarked early on for that Frozen Guard game, which really did some work there, and then moving forwards, maybe on this Frog Isle map, that's the kind of angle which we want to go for again. It's let's see if we can get some synergistic ultimates online, and what can we do with them.
So this is going to be the first game that Cassie's actually taken off the table.
She's banned out on a map like Frog Isle, probably not because of the knockback here, even though it would be nice to see sort of like maybe that raise 5 and just send people flying off the map. It's a nice thought, but no. She's got so many angles on this map that she can play, and she's very hard to flank, and typically on this map of Frog Isle as well, flank is less predominant, you know, it's harder to close the gap. You've got to play through jungle, through around that frog waterfall statue, on the low ground where you can be focused down and spotted quite easily, and it's where you tend to see more sort of like tankier flankers or the Xin come through as well. No buck ban though. So that could mean that the Unyielding is coming to the battlefield as Cassie, Bomb King, Xin, and Ruckus are taken off the table.
Bit of a trade in a couple of their bans, though. Bomb King and Ruckus have been consistent throughout the entire time. And Nara is your first pickup on the side of Fable, so probably going to be wonderful in that.
You would expect it to be so, although Wonderful could be kept in the tank for maybe something like a Pocket Moji, which we are actually yet to see this tournament, and we have heard remarks, and I'm sure you've seen from as well the PCS play, that that's something which is held in the pocket there, so we'll have to wait and see. I'd like Inara to start things off relatively neutrally on Frog Isle as well. Maybe if you're running, especially if you're running even Mother's Grace, that kind of offsets the ability for Makoa to disrupt you, but Vex see these 2 picks open. Janos has been a priority for them every single game so far, and I think that we've now seen as well, it's not just Lexi that can play that. We've seen, if I'm not mistaken, Narc last game flex onto that as well, so that's just a reliable pick for them at this point.
Both Inara and Terminus once again getting paired up, but Maeve back onto the side of Fable, and we saw what SoldierBot was able to do with that in game number 1.
And we also saw what Lexi was able to do with that in game number 3, so Fable effectively are using this as sort of like not just a pick, but also stripping it from Vexed. And that also does make it more difficult for Vex to want to play something that's very good at destroying points. We're onto this map of Frog Isle, there's not much high ground, it's a relatively flat map, although you have got this more kind of bowl-shaped objective point. Kinessa is hovered over here. I was wondering if, like, we can't really have a Willow on this map very easily to just bombard the point and throw a dead zone down there. You haven't got the angles to do so. With the Mave on the table, Tyra becomes kind of obsolete because you're too easy to kill, but a Drogoz would be definitely a very valuable pick here with the Dragon Punch potential. Kinessa as well, though, maybe it's just tricky to play into the Mave again.
And Drogo's being able to capitalize upon the enclosed portions of this map, but Kinessa, we talked about the possibility of snipers coming to the table for console.
Was primarily around the PS4 region that conversation was revolving around, though, so I'm surprised to see it come out for Xbox right here to a degree. It's the close region. They'll probably be either observing their games or they'll be playing against them in scrims. A lot of players do own both consoles and just have a preference for one or the other. Fable answer back though with Ceres as their support and Strix for their last pick damage. So Sniper versus Sniper. Buck locked in for Vex as well. They're getting some kind of counterplay to this sniper online now as well, so it's flank for flank, but I've got to say, I feel like the Maeve takes the edge in this one.
Just running back with the triple DPS on the side of Vex, but let's go ahead and send it to the casters for game number 4.
You know what I love about this lineup, guys, Rain and Prettier here for the cast. It's exciting to see this Buck come in to augment the Drogos, because I think if you just have Drogos there, you play long range, that's a Shaolin. Maybe you don't have the same type of pressure on a Strix, and he just takes the dragon out of the sky. But right now, I think Buck's really going to be able to distract him enough to give Drogos some room to breathe.
Buck would have been a great thing to dive in to finish that kill that Strix would have teed up, as well as the fact that Buck has been banned in every single game of this set so far, and hopefully somebody proves us why here. That needs to have a big impact here. I think with Vex, again, I think getting a strong draft here. Potential to absolutely go off. They've got the Luminary Genos. They've got their 3 DPS players. They've got Mako on the front line, who I think is probably the best front line to run in a single aggressive front line alongside these other 3 very lethal champions.
Great stuff from them all across the board. And it now turns into a question of who can win a game. That's what it's all about. Vex Gaming don't have to worry about winning 2 or 3. They just have to win 1 and then win 1. Fable now have 1 away from going into the finals tomorrow. They're 2 already. But if they lose here, it's all squared up. That's not a space they want to be in. But Welsh Mania starting off very strong for Vex with a double kill here onto the sniper and the support. That's a done team fight.
Definitely pulling some weight. Dredge anchored right back
Bye-bye.
in, teed up, and drove it home. Welsh Mania finds 3 in the first engagement in under a minute and 30 seconds.
And I mean, I thought the Buck was going to give some pressure, a relief to the Drogos, but apparently it's the Kinessa. Soldier Bot not able to even cross paths across Frog Isle without being deleted. And this is just such good play from Welsh Mania. When you get a triple kill like that, when you have no answer, you have no objective capture, I feel like this is just 100-0 almost for the side of Vex.
And the Void Grip's going to be good. No Shatterfall cooldown available. Forces Maeve to get down and involved here. We'll pick up the kill on the Welsh Mania. We'll hopefully start in overtime here, but there's a lot of cleanup potential happening in the back line. World Edit finds 2. Trank gets another on the front line, and just like that, Vex Gaming come out swinging.
And they have something to play for. You can see the excitement, the energy, and when you looked at Fable, I mean, this is my thought when I was watching them. Looked a little dismayed. Looked a little bit like, guys, we let it slip. Oh, no. The confidence had maybe fallen a little bit, and now Vex Gaming playing like they've owned this set, like they're the favorites.
This could be one of those situations like we saw in Vegas. If Vex win this one, they could easily take this set. I think the momentum shift would be too much. Fable would probably get in their own heads at that point, so it's very important that Fable do not fall any further that they already have. Skeppy finds 1 return kill.
Oh,
the first one's under his belt.
And, you know, the Kinessa aspect, the thing about her that wins these trades a lot of the time is Strix gives you more of the information with the flare. Kinessa what gives you a little bit more of the lethality, and we've shown that, and that's what is really hurting, because Buck does so well off of champions who are half health, who have been poked, who are looking at other things. So does Drogos. So this lineup is working so well for the side of Vex.
Yeah, always just waiting to pop that one shot there. Ask Saris how she feels. Maybe ask Vox as well how he feels about Eagle Eye. 120 on the clock here. Soldier Bot finds 2 and kind of bounces out, actually, of that through time and space.
But you know what? I'm going to give Lexi Zen a great round of applause for that. It was an awesome attempt, and I like to see more people attempt those. You know, he really took it on his own. He said, hey, we might just push this in if I grab these 2 kills. If not, that's all right. We have another 30 seconds before we start pushing again. I'll get my marks onto you. We'll try to just push with Welsh Mania's pressure, and so far Vex Gaming have done plenty with that. 50 seconds left, though, for them to try and make this a 2-0.
Wonderful. Trying to hold this angle here, trying to prevent this Buck from blowing the map wide open. Pop-Tarts himself up and onto the tree box here. Just a little reposition there. Instead of using the wall offensively there, Buck maybe overstepped his boundaries a little bit, gets crippled out, but he's just so tanky early on. He's going to make it out.
And it almost is just a bait, right? I mean, Drogo sends a salvo right there. Welsh Mania follows up as well. Soldier Bot gets lifted, and that Genos is really causing so many issues. And Soldier Bot now has a big question. Do I use the Midnight? Do I try to use this defensively, offensively? He wants to find the Drogos, but World Edit's going to skirt around the side. And this is actually a pretty dangerous spot for Fable to hold. One big salvo could actually start this overtime push in a big way.
7 seconds on the clock here. Every ultimate available for Fable. They're holding the defense strong right now, so they won't want to spend anything that they don't have to. Shatterfall down on a Welsh Mania. He's forced out of the fight early.
And there's a big salvo potential. It already hits. Oh my God, Fusillade. Hello. He is here to stay, and that Genos has been augmenting this Dragon in the skies to much effect. It doesn't end up paying off there. They get solo, but no cigar. However, we can see the potential coming from Vex Gaming here if they do not do something to stop this on the Fable side.
Why did that take so long to kill that Kinessa?
Not looking at him, apparently.
Clean it up. Clean it up, boys. Tighten the screws here. Lock this one down. I think there's a couple of things just slipping out of position. There's the first blood, the eagle eye. Nowhere for Miracle to go. Nowhere for Skeppy to go. And I'm curious to see how this fight goes when that doesn't happen.
That's very true. I mean, you can see that Vex Gaming had still a lot of potential, a lot of threats with the Drogos, but Narc slowly, kind of fell into the distance for me as far as impact. You can see in his stat line there, 1, 3, and 4. I mean, he really only had 1 kill. And that was that's something that needs to change. So Welsh Mania may be overperforming, Narc may be underperforming here.
3, 2, 1.
I agree with that, and has to be careful. Wonderful's been playing in the back line, I think, to try and deter Narc's effectiveness, to just cripple him out whenever he is able to jump in.
Oh!
Just barely off the mark there. Skeppy just lives.
And I mean, that's just maybe a second too early, right? Because Skeppy's not looking at anything yet, and he realizes I can get defensive here. Look at that! Skeppy returns fire. Beautiful play. Reddit crack shot as well, but Narc, he recovers right into it. He has damage reduction. What a shot! Skeppy midair, and Soldier Bot cleans him up. This is outrageous play from Skeppy.
Sniper's taking turns here. Trank forced into the Ancient Rage. He's going to get the kill. That's a big ultimate to be forced out on the low ground here. Terminus, I think he might be coming back to this one, but his team is a little bit staggered right now, so he's going to hold that L, respawn in about 6 seconds. 39% for Fable, Vex Gaming at 36 and climbing, now tying and taking the lead.
And what's worse now, you have such incredible mechanical play. You get Skeppy getting kills he probably shouldn't have gotten, most players wouldn't have gotten, and Vex still in the lead. 72% now. Here's the convergence coming through. Misses that shot. Trying to find World Edit. This one could be good for him, but he gets a salvo to the face, and Buck ready to clean it up. No. It's a beautiful flashbang, gives him a chance. But a very low chance of survival.
I actually think that went straight into the rock. I don't think that hit Narc at all. But fortunately for them, Trenzik still has his ultimate. Buck Wild's going to run largely into that power site, but nice target swap back and forth and back and forth. Terminus is back, but to what effect?
And he gets out of there. Everyone gets healthy. The Luminary Astromark is going to give Trank a little bit of time to just stay healthy, but Soldier Bot, it deletes all of that health, and now this is looking very good on the side of Fable. The Dragon's Fury will take down Trinsic, but they've still got one more, and it's wonderful. One of the best players, maybe the best player in the world, the MVP from DreamHack, and he's going to keep Fable in the lead here as overtime ticks away.
MVP from DreamHack, MVP from HRX as well, and one little weird thing that I saw there was, why is Drogos focusing this Warder's Field? Why does he dump 3 rockets into that?
Is he? Don't tell me he's got Bulldozer. Don't tell me.
He would have definitely.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. World Edit. Little weird decision made there for me. It's like, yeah, maybe trying to clear the point out for a frontliner that never came or something like that, but I don't know. Why aren't you putting those rockets in Nar's face at that point?
Well, it's a great question to ask, and I mean, you could talk about those decisions being valuable for a team, but is he the one that should do it? Do you want to have, maybe a Genos working on that? Should the Makoa have maybe tried to work that down instead of the Dragon, whose damage is just so much more potential in an instant than those two champions? Skeppy really had a great round, and I think, you talk about how he's played, definitely stepped up his game. And Welsh Mania doesn't get those 2 headshots, and so things do tilt towards Fable's way when that doesn't happen.
Very different round. Midnight popped as well. Trinsic swinging away at this Makoa. Street Justice is going to put a big chunk of damage in. Look at how low these HP pools are. This is really, really big potential here for Fable to drive this fight home, but they let off the gas ever so slightly.
Nearly 50% damage reduction, a 250 Calamity Blast hitting for 138 onto the Buck after the recovery. Welsh Mania here, finding a great kill on a Soldier Bot. He's, Soldier Bot's been playing excellently as well, really finishing off low targets. Skeppy tries to get around the corner, but Narc sniffs him out. Narc's starting to really come into the fold here as well.
Miracle playing a nice angle here on Frog Isle as well, getting the heal out on a Trinsic, who now is just forced to fall back. Narc's going to poke away at long distance, but hitting for not even 100 damage at certain points.
Double kill.
Trinsic will fall. Nice dredge anchor to pull him back in to ensure that that kill remains staggered out. Fable getting their respawns through just about now. 40 seconds on the clock. We're looking at probably one more fight here in this round, but Fable are just on the cusp of being in striking distance. So if they want to convert here, they will have to win 2. One of those happening now, one of those happening likely in overtime.
And you know, when you have this kind of triple DPS, right, Vex have 3 players who can really change the tide of this game. Fable really working more with 2, and sorry, you know, Wonderful with Inara shouldn't be able to do what he does, but he does it anyway, so maybe you consider 3, 2.5 on the side of Fable, considering they've got the Maeve on Soldier Bot and Skeppy on the Strix. So it's just a matter of who's coming to play this round.
And Wonderful goes up and over the wall here. He's going to start the overtime for his team, but they've already lost Maeve. She'll be rejoining this fight shortly. That's just it. That's the front line again, bailing Fable out of a bad spot, Evan.
And I mean, that, you know, it's another type of win condition where we just don't die as much as you do. And yes, you can take us all down, but we're not going to go down as much. So things working out, I guess, with the gamble that Fable have made, maybe playing the safer bet.
Setting up a nice Street Justice kill on this Makoa as well. Bohemian nice and low. Crack shot's going to do some work here, but Narc is just so tanky. Hasn't even popped recovery yet. This is not an easy matchup to fight into.
Oh, but he's getting healed by Saris, and eventually the battle of the heals will go the way of Fable, and they might just push this in. In fact, I almost guarantee they will. Great shot from Skeppy. The only saving grace, the only thing that Vex can be happy about after that is seeing the reanimate go through.
Man, what a round it was. This right there, 1, 2, and then finally target swaps off of it. There's so many more valuable targets to be shooting there, and a bit frantic communication there, but I think Fable overall happy with that round, how it turned out. And I guess, you know, to make the NBA analogy, the second chance points for Fable here is just they should not have been able to be in a position to end that round, but it's the front line getting in, starting the overtime, disengaging, and then re-engaging at the last moment, waiting, buying time for Soldier Bot, who got picked once, almost twice, just going into the tail end of that round, but Fable really bailed out of a bad situation. Look at the healing charts.
I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, you got 2 Stagala and a Saris. That's about as much healing as you can get if you allow that Saris to live. Dragon Punch, and I like it! He catches Wonderful in the air. He says, I'll meet you halfway. The Black Eyed Peas song playing in the background, and World Edit, beautiful mastery, beautiful just understanding, maybe not that fire spit, but of knowing exactly what Wonderful wants to do early round.
That was one of the most cinematic moments I think I've ever seen in a game of Paladins. Incredible stuff there. Comeback mechanic in favor of Vex. They just spend a couple of ultimates, get a little bit of value here and a little bit of value there. And they're going to be able to put themselves at 90%. Evan just wants somebody to get sniped in the mouth.
Oh, I mean, it was so close. And you know he had vision because World Edit was right there. He could see those guys. But you know what? It's safe. He doesn't need it right now. And Fable, they are not out of it yet, but they have definitely lost this last objective here to Vex Gaming, who just had a great play.
Welsh Mania has been phenomenal on this Kinessa. A lot of headshots landing for him. World Edit takes down Skeppy. That hook's going to miss. Wonderful playing this angle. He doesn't have anywhere to go. Nowhere to go. And no other choice to make.
Trank, you know, you could have at least let him get the kill since he used an ultimate for it. I mean...
Hey, that's World Edit. That cleaned up that one.
Oh, man. But Trank was trying to get in there, too. I mean, these guys are like, who cares?
They're savage, man.
Seriously.
They're a wolf backed into a corner right now. 1 game to give. Vex Gaming have to be perfect in the remainder of this set. They don't want to go down 3-1 here, but they are. They don't want to go down 2 games to 1 here, but they are. They continue to fight tooth and nail for every inch.
And I mean, he definitely is playing a precarious game. The angle was nice. I like the attempt, but just was not enough to stay alive, and it's going to be a full wipe there. Does not focus the Warders field that time around. Goes for the Inara.
But man, they have so much time on the clock. They've moved the payload so far already. They've got 2 fights minimum here to get this one, and if they win one of them, Fable are going to be in a tied ball game. A lot of ultimates online for both squads. The only one down for Vex at the moment is that time and space, but it'll be coming up shortly. Dragon Punches have been really good this set.
I mean, and he's finding Stagala. That's what you need. You need to just start the fight off behind cover with a Dragon Punch. These are both the tankiest champions as World Edit finds that one. Even though Welsh Mania gets the headshot, these guys kill stealing, you know, day in and day out. But still, they don't have mobility. These Stagala can't move away from you. They can't Fernando dash away. They can't Makoa spin away. And so they're just sitting ducks, really. Sitting rocks.
Dude, I think Fable, are they even going to contest? They are going to make it out here. Don't spend ultimates. Do your best to force out as much as you can for Vex Gaming. Here's the Headhunter. That's one. That's already a good start.
And I think this is actually a really fine ultimate to see Welshmania use because, you know, you get it back quickly. A couple of those shots, we saw Fasheko charging this one up when he was playing. And now great target prioritization from Narc. I mean, that's healing off the board. Now you can get wonderful. Sarah's going away. Might as well go back to base for 5 seconds. And she doesn't want to die, but her teammates do the dying instead. It's a 3-3 ball game. Vex Gaming, they win. They push it to a 2-2 and send this to best of 5. Game 5. If Fable win, well, they go to the finals.
That was so sick there. And what a great end.
Got void gripped.
What a great start to all of this round. And wonderful. Tried to seismic crash his way to victory there, but World Edit was ready for him. And now Vex Gaming 3-3. They've tied it up. They started this game down 3-1. Their backs have been against the wall this entire set pretty much, so they're fighting really hard for this victory here. They have a lot of resources. Obviously, the Headhunter was just used by Welshmania, but in the final 10 seconds of that round, to get 50% of it back. So with Morale Boost 2 online, he's maybe 3 shots away from actually getting his ultimate back online.
He just needs an early salvo, and that's what he's looking for, and that's what he's going to get. He may just have it. 95%. He's got to charge it up here to start the fight, and now he's on the back foot. I think this is a decent time to do it. He doesn't know what's coming around the corner, but you can kind of anticipate it here. I expect a Dragon Punch to begin. Now, what are they going to do to find it? It's a flashbang. I'm not sure he knows where he's going.
Wow.
Oh, he certainly does. He catches Wonderful in the trees again. The Dragon slays the Stone Warden.
Convergence comes out. It's going to be big. It pulls in a
Transport.
couple. World Edit finds the answers, but it's Fable fighting better off of their ultimates.
Soldier Bot with 68 health, but World Edit cleans up the gutter snipe from France, and Trank now has to back off. Even though the damage is off the table, he's letting World Edit clean up Skeppy on the side.
Oh no, he has just pulled too much weight in this. I think he's killed everyone. I don't know if anyone else got a kill on Vex Gaming there. World Edit has been massive for that. Lexi finds a big snipe from the backline, and that just might be enough.
And that's huge, and now World Edit can free fire. That's one down on Wonderful. Our Vex Gaming gonna do what I think they just did. Completely wipe Fable with a good zone here. They're sending this to game 5, Nick.
48% and climbing. Let's take a look at the slash lines here while we have a moment to breathe in this final round. 29-7. World Edit is breaking Frog Isle.
And he's gonna meet her in the air one more time. Air Jordan's on the side of the Dragon, and he ain't selling those shoes for any amount of money. Don't expect him on eBay, but expect him in game 5. As you can see, Lexi's in. Raising his hands and then a little bit of a wave as well from my man.
He did the thing.
Saying hi.
He did it, dude.
He's a trash talker.
He did the buck thing. That's the track. That's the EU prim and proper trash talk there. They give him the bulk up there, but 30-7. He finishes this game. Do we need an MVP poll?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's a formality.
Because you know what? At this point, Welshmania played great. Skeppy played great as well. I mean,
that's true. Welshmania had a big impact.
And I mean, you say round 3 goes the way to World Edit. Round 1 definitely goes the way of Welshmania.
But
I
mean,
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, Des, take it away.
That's what it's all
They did
about.
the thing.
They did it.
Well done, Buck. Or maybe the Drogos at this point, actually, because after that game, I mean, Cast already talked plenty about it, but World Edit went on an absolute tear, an absolute rampage, and pulled off the bit of the Fable flank Drogos there, I think, at times.
37-8 slash line, and that was just super impressive from him and the rest of the team coming together. I love that all of these games are just going down to the final moment, that very last point.
And these teams are both showing a huge amount of adaptability throughout the duration of these games. I mean, early on in that previous one on Frog Isle, it was very much to start off with, they go, okay, Vex finds some early kills, and then Vex just kind of snowball out of control. Moving from there, Fable definitely worked out how to dismantle Vex, and then they just changed it up again. You saw, it's difficult to play the Drogos into a sniper, right? We saw definitely how Skeppy was dismantling people on that Strix pick. So it's, okay, somebody goes and distracts the Strix, and then let the Drogos do what Drogos does best, which is apparently surface-to-air missile interception at this point. Is that a new feature?
Yeah. And you saw it, you chose him. World Edit is your MVP for game number 4 of the set, effectively pushing this to the last game, number 5. I love it. I love that we get that shot. And it was even funnier when you're on the opposite side, you just see through the trees, and then also getting to see right up close.
Oh no moment where he does it again later in a round as well, and this was the decider 3-3. Well, did so much work on this one, was able to land these direct fuselage shots, good use of fire spit to control space around the objective, and Here we go as well, even going so far as to flank out the Strix, recognizing that just trying to hammer onto the Terminus and the Inara on the objective is pointless without the support of their team, so great target focus, great recognition I think of respawn times as well, knowing that they can actually go and kill the Strix before they'll have backup.
Flips the Strix on his back, gets a bite of the Terminus, says, I want a piece of that Pop-Tart, Nara, and then goes and takes a chunk out of that.
Greedy, you know, these dragons, they like going over things. Apparently, they like crunching down on some rocks as well, and I'm excited to see what we actually progress to in the next map, the decider map of map 5 as well, and a bit of a turnaround for World Ed as well, I think, from the first map of Serpent Beach, where they also played Drogos, just wasn't anywhere near as effective.
And the fact that both of these last 2 games that were victories for Vex ended up being the triple DPS bodes well for them. Jaguar Falls is going to be our last map of the set. I love it. Just comes down to 1 game. Maybe it'll come down to 1 point of 1 game again.
It may well do. It could be completely down to the wire. And I mean, this is the HRX Console Wars champion team that we're seeing here with on the NA Xbox side, facing up against the team which effectively has been cast aside and I think swept in every Console Wars so far. Is this the Vex Squad? Have they taken a game, I think, off anybody else? I don't think so.
It's tough when you are going against Fable that have just dominated within the LAN scene. And then Vex, yes, they've been performing well within the regular season, each phase of the PCS, but
and that's
here
a big
they
conversation about, you know, these regions as all. We have, of course, we got our North American and our European regions, but also we have our different platforms. We're effectively splitting the player base into 4 individual pools for all of this. And one question which has come up quite frequently is, at times, the European Xbox squad has had very limited brackets in terms of participation numbers. Is there a limited pool of who they can scrim against, making Vex just seem better than they are? Are they just the best? Are they just simply better than the people in their pool, but they don't get enough actual practice, active practice, to be able to improve? But they've taken the initiative. They've been scrimming people on different platforms. They've been scrimming cross-region. They've been getting their practice in and doing their homework, and you can see it paying off now as well. And on this final map of Jag Falls as well, Bandits coming out of Bomb King and Buck to start things off for Fable. Vex take away Zin and Ruckus. They just don't want Wonderful to have a chance on that champion, because we know that that would just be game Grover at that point. Genos first pick though, Fable strip it away.
Ooh, and looks like they might be bringing the Grok to the table. It would be the first of the entire set, but it's actually gonna be Maeve coming through, and that's actually been such an impactful pick on both sides.
It really has. A big question about the Maeve for you last game. In Map 1 of Serpent Beach, we saw Midnight come out repeatedly to counter our Dragon Punch. I don't think I saw a single utilization of that on Frog Isle. Seemed that something was maybe missing there. Maybe utilizing the Midnight early on for aggression rather than keeping it as a defensive tool. So Fable might need to change things up again there, but this time around they also have the Fernando. They've got their Immortal, they've got their protection in case Vex do end up drafting a Drogos here. As so far they have the Inara, the Cassie, the Maldamba is hovered, and it is locked.
Maldamba making it. And yeah, with Maeve, also one thing last game when you had Welsh Mania on that Kinessa, and there were a couple of moments where they locked down Kinessa, the combination of Maeve and Strix, but weren't able to completely push off to that death point, so he would just come right back into the fight.
Now we have a Drogos coming through as well for Vex, and after what at its previous performance on Frog Isle, I don't think that there's any argument this is one of the most dangerous picks for at least the Xbox side of things currently. Fable need to find maybe a different form of anti-air potential here, and the Lex, I'm not actually too against it. You know, the Cassie's already off the table for Fable. I don't think that the Liana is exactly what they're looking for in this environment. Sure, it's great anti-air, but the Lex, with the heroism playstyle that we saw previously, you can soak a Fusillade rocket and you'll take, you know, 10% of the damage. It's a good pickup here. Khan was hovered for a second, folks, but it is Terminus, which comes through at last for Fable, making their lineup a very flank-heavy one. They've got this double front line, double flank, and the single support Genos. And it does concern me that they don't have enough sustain to be able to keep their front line alive if Vex go in for this triple DPS. And oh, please, show me the Tyra. Somewhere, Baynex is praying that this is going to go through, folks.
Please, and it's gonna be Tyra as your last pick for this draft. And you got the Maldamba Inara combination, which we haven't seen yet today, and that sponge that she is. And Tyra is always going to be exciting when she makes it to the table.
And she's great on these compact maps as well, and I can't wait to see exactly how that's going to be utilized, Gabby. This one, it all comes down to it.
Well, we know these teams are ready to bring the fire, so casters, why don't you do the same?
Oh, we're definitely ready to spit the hot fire here, Gabby. Thank you, though, for checking us. We're Rain Day and Pretty here, and excited for this 5-game set to go the distance in their first semifinal. One team is going to go to the finals tomorrow, and let's leave it up to you guys to decide who do you think is going to make it there.
I think the biggest thing here for Vex is to change it from Lexi. They took his Genos, they took the Maeve as well. How well can he adjust? Everything else in the draft is immaculate for Vex. I think they got everything they wanted pretty much.
Yeah.
World has anywhere near the performance that he had last time. This should be an easy reverse sweep.
Honestly, Vex working with the 2 champions who got buffed. This is OB70. Now, we had conversations with the players earlier in their interviews saying, you know, hey, what will the Drogos do? What will the Tyra do? We're going to actually just wait and see. Maybe the Drogos turns out to be amazing. Maybe the Tyra turns out to be an impact. They're running Burn Monster. And I think Welsh Mania, if he could pilot this champion to her current effectiveness, oh boy, she is going to be burning some monsters, that's for sure. Maybe the monster that's been haunting Vex thus far in this scene. And people are believing it. You guys think it's going to be a reverse sweep? Well, let's see. Game 5.
It's such a momentum change, man, and this fight is critical. I think if Fable lose this first fight handily, they might just break mentally. These frontliners are low. The firebomb's in there. They're close to losing first blood, and they do.
Burn Monster. And he's got the Hunter's Mark on Wonderful well. I'm telling you, man, this Tyra is so dangerous. And in the small corridors of Jaguar Falls, I mean, how do you avoid it? How do you avoid that cripple firebomb?
I don't know, man. It's really, really difficult to deal with against that both immobile frontline. Terminus is pretty much always immobile, but he did a good job. The shield was up as well from Trenzik, so that was a great time to pop it. Vex Gaming, clean 100-0. Nope, somebody got there. Somebody touched.
But look at this. Look at this. This is really going to help out. And you know what? SoldierBot has to run through it, but SoldierBot gets what he came for. Trenzik and him find the kill. Baby. But look at Narc going off. He played the buck, had a couple of rounds where he said, Narc, where you at? He says, I'm right here, baby. Hits the spray. Get wrecked indeed. Vex Gaming, they just start their path off on the way to the reverse sweep.
I don't know, man. I think this momentum is just too much in favor of Vex Gaming at this point. They were down 2-0. They fought their way back super hard on Frozen Guard, and it just has not stopped going their way ever since. Wonderful throws up the power siphon, but he's walled off. He's got nowhere to go. He is not having that MVP type of impact in this game.
And if you're not certain what the buff is for Tyra, it's basically giving her increased rocket for the grenade, a faster projectile. It's a horizontal projectile. It's so much easier to hit instead of the drop that it had. And also the damage from range. It is a huge amount of damage. She is such a competitor now from a farther distance and play safer, really force SoldierBot to commit when he's trying to go after her.
You gotta say, dude, Vex Gaming just may be playing OB70 better.
Yeah.
They're ripping on the Drogos. They are ripping on this Tyra. And Fable just don't know what to do about it.
This is where she's going to shine, but unfortunately, this is also where she's going to fail. But Welsh, I mean, the intelligence, right? The tactics, always conserving that. And now using this, not just for the damage, a little bit of movement speed. He can do that delicate dance, but Trenzik, he's just too close for comfort and actually finds him. The blast shot misses on the side of Narc, but he's looking to clean up Skeppy, and the Dread Serpent sends him running wildly, and this just could be with a salvo to top it all off. Vex Gaming pushing 2-0.
And this is the favorites, man. This is the favorites. Fable with 2 kills in that round. Talking about Cassie.
What?
The glorious slash lines there. Tyra, the only one that ends up falling there. She's got no mobility, so, I mean, I guess it checks out. But in these pregame interviews, what people were saying about Cassie was that, you know, it's that lack of burst damage. It's not hitting every shot.
Yeah.
Narc has been hitting every shot. He is leading the damage charts. He is hitting his blast shots. He is making an incredibly large impact in that first round on Cassie.
And I mean, Narc, it's wild. Going for Tumble here.
He's got the Tumble loadout.
I mean, it's really just a Void Grip.
It's wild.
It's literally just Void Grip that he's worried about. And a little bit of the Maeve ultimate. He's going to get out of that faster. Possibly some slow on Terminus' Shatterfall, but I mean, by God, it's just making it so he's even more elusive, as if he couldn't dodge enough.
Oh no, Skeppy.
Disengage. Nice heroism play. CC immune, and he's actually going to probably win this duel. Now she can see him, but there's just so little damage. No. But she rolls away.
No way. He makes it out of there. Whoa, that's a double kill from SoldierBot. Fable down but not out. 123 HP. 1, 2, 3. Easy as you and me. SoldierBot pushes into the high ground, misses those shots, and the pounce onto Lexi, but is able to clean it up. And he went from having a really big impact in this set.
Ooh!
Game 1, he played Maeve, looked phenomenal on it. He has to have that performance again.
I mean, Nick, and if we're singing Jackson 5, SoldierBot in that round was definitely Michael Jackson there. He was hitting the high notes. He was all really the cleanup crew, so to speak, and the MVP got 3 kills there. And, you know, he's been really good on the Mave. He has been really good. The draft has kind of been shining the way of Vex, and I think Welsh, as you can see, has really performed well. World Edit obviously stole the show, but SoldierBot's been consistent every game.
Yeah, he's been solid throughout. But they're going to need more than just solid, I think, here.
Yeah.
158 left on the clock. Wonderful comes back. And I think Fable just want to keep their momentum rolling high right now, but one more shot from Narc. This could be big.
Man.
SoldierBot misses. Narc does not.
I mean, literally, though, Narc is really hitting those shots in a way that I'm saying, this is really impressive. I'm not noticing a big difference between PC and console here.
And that's when it gets fun.
Yeah.
That is when it gets fun, man. When these guys, and they say it themselves, you know, there's nothing they do that we necessarily can't. There's a couple things that I think are better on console. There's a couple things that are better on PC. But one of those things is I thought Drogos was tough on console, but World Edit has shown us that that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I mean, when you know how to do it, it's kind of like when Wonderful knows how to get kills on Terminus, because he's found them. He got a quadra kill. Wonderful is actually on the precipice of a pentakill here.
Come on,
Transic's going to get
Miracle.
the delay. This is a full 2-0. They're going to get it right back. Fable, they're not out of this one at all, and we are in for an exciting couple of rounds now, folks.
This is game 5. You can see there's a lot of just frantic communication happening here. No one has failed to push so far on Jaguar Falls. World Edit having an insane performance on Frog Isle. Definitely performing solid here. It's really a matter of, you know, who is Narc killing? Who is left on the battlefield when they're done with it.
Different degrees of sitting up in their chair. You can see World Edit's face basically almost nose to screen, and then all the way back towards the end, people almost leaning back.
5.
You know, their chin running into the top of their chest.
2,
And you know what? It's all just preference. It's all just style. Do what makes you feel good. You know, start singing Kumbaya if you want to, because you need everything going your way into this next round.
I was about to ask this. Is there rejuvenates for Fable? Like, they've been getting the majority of the healing by almost a factor of 2 every time we've checked in. That's got to have
Dragon
a big
punch.
impact. Here comes the punch. But the Immortal to counter it out.
And that's a
Midnight
big
as well.
deal. Look at this. He's hitting those Fusillade shots, though, Nick. Drogos, OB70, forcing Trinsic into the shield, but that's not enough. The job is not done, but you know what? It really forces him out through time and space. A great idea from Miracle, but it can't quite connect. And SoldierBot here again, setting up Wonderful for the kill.
Just can't turn around fast enough. Skeppy finds a big kill on the Lexi as well, and now the pinch is complete. Trinsic finds one, and it's all clean up for Vexed. That's exactly what SoldierBot said in his interview, though. He says, we can get into the back line on EU and just punish them so much. And that's exactly what happens there. He and Wonderful sneak to the back line, clean up a couple, and the disengage just wasn't there from Vex. They couldn't react
Now,
fast
here's
enough.
the thing. Wonderful doesn't really have the mobility to get back onto this point. If they can get him away here, they will be in trouble. But Wonderful says, who cares about mobility? I'm just going to take you down myself. Wonderful and Skeppy combined. Fable grabbed this objective. Nobody has defended on Jaguar Falls this game. So it goes to reason that maybe Fable are going to go to the finals.
He's got a hell of a sense on him, that Wonderful, I swear. The way he throws up the power siphon, dumps the Calamity Blast, gets the in-hands in there, it's flowing very nicely. Every single frontliner, we've seen him play Fernando, and Nara, and now Terminus. So a lot of different things being brought out by our 2-time back-to-back MVP and champion from the console wars. Wonderful, trying to keep his team alive, trying to keep his team in it.
And Skeppy, you know, coming in that DreamHack Valencia set in a very difficult spot, facing off against Wonderful, facing off against, you know, former teammates cross-platform, and going back to Xbox this year, combining with Wonderful for this squad that has basically been the favorites considered here. Vex down, but not out this entire set, and now making that comeback, getting a little bit of a stabilization here, but it's coming down to a moment of inches to see who goes through.
That's the way you like to see the console wars kick off. This is the first set of our competition this weekend. 118 left.
And we're halfway done.
On the clock in game 5 as we come down to the wire here. One of these teams is coming out on top. If not Fable this round, somebody in the next.
Punching their ticket to the finals. That's what this is all about. Minute left is going to decide so much. Again, no one is not pushed, but that beautiful dodge from Narc, and now a beautiful use of the Scout's going to basically deactivate that Mave ultimate. The Midnight will no longer have any effect as they'll be able to see through it. Welshmania getting pressured, though. A couple more daggers, and that's it. They found it. Oh, that could be it, Nick.
Smelling blood in the water here, Narc. needs to stay alive. The Dragon Punch needs to connect. It's countered out by the Immortal, and he goes soaring off into the sunset.
What else does he have, though? Retains 30%, and now in the back line, as you mentioned, is Skeppy. He goes for the ultimate, he gets it! He finds Trink as well. Skeppy B on the Lex. Heroism, heroic acts all around. Soldier Bot finds the kill, and there's the crossfire from Tyra. It's just a day late and a dollar short. Fable, they're in the finals.
But you can see exactly how they feel about that victory. Wide-eyed, deep exhales as well. That is not the way I think they expected that set to go. And hats off to Vex.
Yeah,
fierce competitors. I think they should hang their heads high and walk out of that soundproof booth proud.
I thought my boy was about to go punch somebody. He's like, yo, what the hell? I told you you need to go make sure.
The anger translator.
And then he sits down and he's like, hey, good game, man, good game. You know, I was just saying that you guys maybe want it. I was like, wow, that's a lot of emotion. Now he's telling him, talking it through. Boy, oh boy, you got to say so close. MVP, I mean, who else can you talk about? There was Skeppy, there was Wonderful, there was Soldier Bot, who was so consistent. You guys let us know in chat what you think about that award, and what do you think about this match, man? Fable moving on.
I mean, I think you have to look at, honestly, these supports as well, you know, specifically Fable support. Miracle here, giving his team a lot of room to work with. You talk about those second chances. Yes, that has a lot to do with the decision made by the front line, but having a lot of healing, double the healing of the enemies, definitely helps.
Wow. Well, let's take it to the desk. That's going to wrap it up here for this set. Game 5, an exciting one, but it goes the way of Fable.
Congratulations to Fable for making it into the finals, and I really did enjoy that shot going back to the team where they're just like,
It is a sigh of relief. You know, we were inches away from having a Hi-Rez Vinny style upsetty spaghetti here, but it is the North American Xbox team which does go through yet again. They continue their reign of terror, it seems, at this point, and my goodness, that was a very, very kind of nail-biter finish right there, with how much momentum initially Vex had in that very first push. And then yet again, how Fable seems to be able to come round and sort of dismantle their tactics. And in previous games, the push is a little bit more difficult than on Jaguar Falls. We'd been able to kind of reset, and then Vex was able to take something back and adapt again. But this time, no. Gas pedal was hit. No chance to slam on the brakes, and it's already over.
well, you chose your MVP. It's going to be Wonderful from game number 5. And it just, I don't know if anybody listens to any Broadway or anything. There's a Wicked song called Wonderful. And it just makes me think of wonderful. They call me Wonderful.
You can't see my expression right now, but that's my summary on musicals for you.
Whatever. Anyway, the
Quadra.
Quadra.
Pretty impressive, though, to say the least. Putting on the pilot quadrant kill on Terminus is definitely not something which you're going to see on every map. It's got to be close, it's got to be compact, but Wonderful's positioning was phenomenal throughout the duration of this game. It was being in the right place at the right time, being able to receive heals, throw up Power Siphon, and again, Nick mentioned this as well on cast, just the utilization of quick cooldown rotation, so it's Power Siphon, you're throwing out your Calamity Blast as well, you're min-maxing on damage even when Terminus isn't within melee range, and that makes so much difference at the highest level of play.
And as a collective deciding to keep with the aggression in the second round, they got the capture, and there was a moment where it seemed a little tricky. It was, I don't know if you're doing this the right way with the execution, but then it worked, and I think sticking to their guns, they said earlier in the interview that we will play aggressive. That's what allowed them to power through.
Well, and a big part of that as well just seemed to, again, we talked about Wonderful and the great positioning coming through there. It was the fact that in the last 2 captures of the Jag4 game, when they went back-to-back to Fable, we had this sort of pincer flank come through. You had Maeve get behind people that distracts the European DPS, and then all of a sudden, Wonderful's just up in your face. It's kind of you're clamping from both sides, and you've got a Maeve on one side that you just don't want to deal with, and maybe a Lex who's poking you from distance, keeping you busy, and Terminus just walks at you. You hold, I guess you push the thumbstick forward, right? It's the whole W approach to it, and you just don't stop moving, you don't stop swinging, and everything in your path just dies.
And not to mention the Dragon Punch that was just matched by an Immortal, so a lot of it working for Fable. But we do actually have interviews on standby with our winners of that set, so let's take it.
Gentlemen, congratulations there. I don't know if that's the way you drew it up on the playbook there, but just walk me through some of those emotions you guys were talking about going down 0-2 after being up 2 games to nothing on Jaguar Falls. What were the comms like after that first round in Game 5?
Oh, we're choking. We're choking. Like, everything just, like, shut down after that first game we lost. Like, nothing was working anymore. We were being over-aggressive, sloppy, just, it was a mess.
I mean, what a bounce back for your opponents, though. Definitely have to
Yeah.
tip your hats to them. They performed beautifully. But after such a great start, where did it all start to go wrong?
I think it was the Frog Isle game, and the triple DPS just threw us off completely. We were expecting them to go double tank because they usually do that on the map when we did scrim them before. And their triple DPS was great. The Kinessa was literally giving us way too many problems, and we were getting picked on our pushes. I think once we saw that they had triple DPS, we got sloppy trying to chase those kills, and it just went downhill from there.
So in game number 5, what was really like your turning point? What was the rallying point that brought you guys back into it?
Well, Trenzik was screaming at us to get the flank on properly because we like completely botched the first one. So we got in there, he was calling out his fireballs, and then as we got that first team wipe, we were like, okay, we got this, convert, and then just from there, it just kept going.
And looking forward into what you're having to prepare for now, are there any teams on the other side of the bracket that you're kind of scared to have to meet in the finals?
I think personally it's going to be Flashpoint. That EU team is very strong, and they've been beating Onslaught, so what I've heard online. So I think they're going to be our best competition. They'll probably play similar to how that team played, so we'll be prepared this time.
I mean, for me, looking at playing against EU, you guys did have some moments where you struggled. You had some moments where you succeeded. Ultimately, you came on top, and that was, I think, important to note. Going into the finals, do you think this is the best thing that could have happened, facing a little adversity before heading into tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely humbling, 100%. Like, we were over our heads, like, we got this is going to be easy, and that definitely brought us down a little bit.
You notice you have an Achilles heel, so you got to definitely wear some armor tomorrow, fellas. Thank you so much. Any final words on the win before heading into the console final tomorrow?
It'll be fun.
Yeah,
good games.
Looking forward to it.
Well, good luck from our end. That's going to be it for us, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.